Chapter 1102. Boy, you're too short. It's really inconvenient to talk to you, the black bear said, expressing his heartfelt dissatisfaction at his current state of looking down at Yunyang. I don't want to do this either, Yunyang said with a smile. I don't have Senior's ability to change his size at will, but I don't have Senior's ability to change his size at will. What can I do? The black bear thought it made sense, so he said, It's fine if you grow bigger, but I'll just shrink. It's too tiring to talk like this now. As he spoke, his body suddenly shrunk a size, then shrunk another size, and then another breath. Qin Ruogu was so anxious that his eyebrows were almost on fire. How did you make friends with me? Didn't you promise to come out and fight? This is different from what we agreed last night. This. Bear Saint King. Qin Ruogu cried out. Shut up, boy. I know what I'm doing. The black bear turned and gave Qin Ruogu a fierce look. Don't spoil my mood. Qin Ruogu, who had stopped talking, was speechless. As the black bear shrunk smaller and smaller, he could sense Yunyang's aura more clearly. It was not covetousness, but a sense of intimacy that came from the bottom of his heart. Finally, a charmingly naive, medium-sized black bear appeared in front of Yunyang. He was as tall as Yunyang, with chubby arms, legs, neck, and mouth. In any case, Yunyang still could not tell what was so handsome about him. Could there be such a huge gap between the beauty standards of a bear's eyes and that of a human's? It's okay now, the black bear said casually. What's your name? Do you have wine with you? Wine? Yunyang was taken aback. This bear actually wants to drink wine? It's a compliment to say that you're humanized, but don't you think you're a little too humanized? Are you really not a man in a bear's skin? Of course I do. Not only wine, but also food. I'll feed you until you're full. Why don't you take it out now? How can we not get drunk when brothers meet? As soon as the black bear opened his mouth, a large clump of saliva dripped down, and more dripped down endlessly. When I think of wine, my mouth. I've forgotten myself. Black Bear wiped his mouth and laughed at himself. Bear Saint King. Qin Ruogu could not bear it any longer. He caught up with him from behind and said, I asked you to come here to fight. Don't forget that this battle concerns the glory of our sect for thousands of years. What's the point of drinking? The motherfucker sect. The black bear exploded. Try calling me the motherfucker sect again. Drinking is the most important thing now. Do you know what is important? Qin Ruogu was struck dumb and dared not say a word. When it came to high-level Xian beasts, the beast control sect was the most hated sect. That was a good thing, but once they were tamed, they would become one of their own. How could they still hate them? This was especially true for a divine beast that had been in the beast-controlling sect for thousands of years. Shouldn't it be used to it? Why, Senior Bear Saint King, I hope you will abide by the spirit of the contract. Qin Ruogu began to play the emotional card. If it were not necessary, I wouldn't use the contract to restrain you, but this battle, the black bear rolled his eyes and grinned. Why don't you try using the contract? Qin Ruogu was speechless. The black bear was very annoyed by Qin Ruogu's attitude. He grabbed the jar of wine Yunyang took out, slapped open the clay seal, threw his head back, and began to gulp down the wine, then, bang, the wine jar shattered. However, the inside was as dry as if it had been in the desert for 1,000 years. There was not a single drop of water leaking out. Good wine. King good wine. The black bear snorted. You've been deceiving me for thousands of years, and you still want to keep it up? Yunyang knew that there was a change in the situation, so he decided to watch from the sidelines for now. As he brought out the large plates of dishes, he played the role of a good companion. Senior Bear King, come. You must try this dish. It tastes great. The black bear patted Yunyang on the shoulder and said, "You're good, really good." Suddenly, he burst into laughter and said cheerfully, "I've been in this world for thousands of years, and so far, you're the first person who dares to let me pat you on the shoulder. Ha ha ha. You're good, really good." Then, he patted Yunyang's shoulder again and said, "Good, very good." Yunyang suddenly felt a pang of discomfort. Has this black bear never enjoyed the feeling of being trusted even a little in his life? But, is it really good to show such kindness when we first meet? In the beginning, my plan was to kill you when you were bewitched and became smaller. But now that you're treating me like this, my conscience is a little uneasy. The black bear kept his body to a medium size, but his mouth grew bigger all of a sudden. He picked up 2 plates of dishes and poured them into his mouth, then drank 2 more jars of wine. After that, he exhaled deeply with a look of nostalgia in his eyes. "The wine is good, and you're a good person. I'll fight with you after we finish drinking. You don't mind, do you? I did promise that child over there, it's not good to go back on my word." The black bear asked politely. No, I don't mind. A man's words must be kept, and a man who doesn't keep his word can't stand. Yunyang said, "We're friends, it's not worth minding such a small matter." The black bear was delighted. Good. Suddenly, he opened his mouth wide and came over, biting Yunyang directly. Facing this sudden change, Yunyang did not move at all. He was still taking out the wine and dishes, not even his expression changed. The black bear's large nose sniffed Yunyang's body. After a long time, he retracted his head with an intoxicated expression, his gaze looking at Yunyang more affectionately now. Obviously, Yunyang had his own definition of the word friend. Once he had decided on a friend, he would be filled with trust. Yunyang's action of not moving in the face of danger had increased the black bear's fondness for him. If his previous recognition of Yunyang was an inexplicable fondness, then it was now a trust towards a friend, even a brotherly bond. It's been thousands of years since the old man who lied to me died. Today is the happiest day I've ever had. The black bear's gaze was actually overflowing with melancholy. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, how could he believe that a bear, a mystical beast, could have such emotions in its eyes? Yunyang did not speak. He could not interrupt the bear's recollection at this juncture. Whether it was a human or a mystical beast, memory had always been the most precious treasure, it was not to be desecrated. The black bear drank another pot of wine, his gaze becoming more and more misty. Before the old man died, he asked me to help him protect his sect, to protect his disciples and grand-disciples, so that no one could bully them. So many years have passed, I almost can't even remember what the old man looked like. Only this request. Oh, F*King Hell, remember the mobile version of the website, Chapter 225, Be a Friend, page 1/1, bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 1103. Black Bear scolded, "None of the brats from this stupid sect are stupid. They don't play ball with me, they don't give me honey, and they don't find monkeys to play with. They don't even let me leave. They only think of me when something happens to them and they can't deal with it. There are always many things in life that are beyond our control, and we can't bear to look back on the past." Yunyang sighed. The black bear's eyes lit up. That's right. I didn't think of it just now. But senior, you've been living a miserable life all these years. When Yunyang said that, he deliberately released a wisp of the chi of origin of life. After all, the intention of Yunyang's words to sow discord was rather obvious. The Black Bear King's human-like behavior was rather obvious. Judging from the human-like behavior of the black bear, it was reasonable for him to turn hostile immediately. With the addition of the chi of origin of life, Yunyang would naturally have more leeway. But Yunyang's concern was unfounded. The black bear sighed as if he had found a bosom friend. It's not just miserable, it's like I'm in prison. The last time this old man came out was probably more than 300 years ago. This bunch of black-hearted turtle eggs. Come, let's drink. Come, let's eat. Come, all around them, the crowd looked at the man and the bear, eating and drinking to their heart's content. They were all dumbfounded. What are they doing? Aren't you going to fight? Why are you eating and drinking now? Are you going to have a drinking competition to see who can drink more? Or are you going to have a competition to see who can eat more? Then, they looked at Qin Ruogu, who was standing beside them like a fool. He did not even dare to approach them, let alone urge them. His face was filled with hesitation, shame, anger, and embarrassment. Who is the sect leader of Beast Trainer sect? Is it Yun Yang? It's all upside down. Qin Ruogu, you've just confidently put on the airs of an expert and released your mystical beast to duel with someone, but in the end, the mystical beast made a high-profile appearance and went out to drink with someone. As the sect leader, do you feel embarrassed or not? Could he be any more embarrassed? Yun Yang continued to circulate the endless divine art, and the area of effect gradually expanded. The expression on the black bear's face became more and more relaxed. In the end, it simply lay down on the ground, prostrating on the ground with only its mouth sticking out to eat and drink. It rolled around comfortably. The black bear did not mind exposing the most vulnerable part of a mystical beast, its belly, in front of Yun Yang. It drank the wine and ate the meat, reminiscing about the past. It was so satisfied that it was about to fall asleep. Qin Ruogu, on the other hand, broke out in a cold sweat, and soon, his clothes were soaked with sweat. The maximum strength that Luo Dejiang had displayed was already at the level of a Saint King, and Yun Yang, who had displayed a strength that was even higher than that, had to be close to the level of a Saint King, even if his maximum strength was slightly weaker. What if he had a divine weapon in his hand and used it on you? Then, everything would be over, but he didn't dare to remind him. The black bear pretended not to hear him, and when he reminded him again, the black bear directly slapped him. His heart was tired. It was really tiring. That was the only feeling that Qin Ruogu had now. On the spectator stand, the people from Beast Trainer sect were also dumbfounded by the current situation. Is this still a fight? Please forgive my ignorance, I really can't see it. On the other hand, Yun Yang was still talking incessantly, and he had already reached the point where he said, "If you're not happy, you can live somewhere else." Qin Ruogu was about to go crazy. Is he trying to poach me? How could he be so brazen? Could he be any more deranged? No. The black bear was a man of principle. Senior Bear King, if you're willing. Yun Yang changed to a voice transmission, you can go to the residence of 9 Supremes after today, and I'll help you transform. The black bear sat up and stared at Yun Yang with his big round eyes. Are you serious? Generally, when a mystical beast's cultivation base reaches the level of Beast King, the first thing they do is to transform. Poor me, I'm already a Saint King, but I still can't transform. When he asked this question, everyone heard it. Qin Ruogu could only cry in his heart, this is bad. This is bad. What are you talking about? What do you mean by, for real? Good heavens. I'm so bored and worried. With a faint smile on his face, Yun Yang slightly opened a gap in his divine sense space, and a peculiar aura immediately emerged. Although Yun Yang immediately closed it, the black bear had already jumped to his feet and stared at Yun Yang with his big eyes full of pleasant surprise. Yun Yang raised the wine jar and said, "We are friends." His words were sincere and meaningful. Yes. The black bear replied happily. We are good friends. Ha. At this point, the black bear's attitude had changed subtly again. Although he had behaved amiably before, there was always a sense of condescension in his tone, but now, he was no longer so. Yun-yang put down the wine jar and said solemnly, "Since I've gained Brother Bear's approval, everything is negotiable. After this battle is over, you can come to me at any time to solve the problem, and I'll make sure Brother Bear gets what you want. I believe Brother Bear understands that I mean what I said, and I have the ability to do it." Then, a rumbling sound rang through heaven and earth. It was an oath made by the heavenly Tao. The black bear was so touched that his eyes turned red. "I don't have much time left, only a few thousand years at most. If I don't transform, I won't have the chance anymore." Unexpectedly, I met a good person here. This was a vow to heaven's way. This brother was too honest. Otherwise, how could he have such a pleasant smell? "Brother Bear, our agreement is a promise, but we still have to do what we should do later. When the battle comes later, I won't be merciful just because we hit it off. I hope Brother Bear can understand this." Yun-yang said solemnly, "Our residents of 9 Supremes will lose everything if we lose. So, I can't be merciful. If I hurt Brother Bear, please don't be offended." The black bear waved his paw and said, "No, no, no. We are friends." If Yun-yang had said this before the vow to heaven's way, the result would have been the opposite, and it would have triggered the black bear's negative emotions. However, it was said after the vow to heaven's way, so the effect was very different. "Whether we win or lose in this battle, I'll help Brother Bear to get rid of the shackles, so I hope Brother Bear can do your best and not humiliate this battle," Yun-yang said seriously. Yun-yang's face was full of righteousness. Chapter 1104. "Yes, as long as I can transform successfully, I'll be able to break the oath I made to this sect." The black bear's eyes were full of longing. Yun-yang's eyes lit up as well. Looking at Yun-yang's righteous face and smelling his pleasant scent, the black bear felt an indescribable closeness in his heart, drinking Yun-yang's fine wine and eating his delicious dishes, and then thinking of Yun-yang's vow to the Tao of Heaven and his promise to transform. "Don't worry, brother, you'll definitely get through this," the black bear said solemnly. "I'll say it again. Brother Xiong, don't go easy on me. You've been entrusted with a task, and you should be loyal to it. Only by honoring the promise is you respecting me and yourself," Yun-yang said righteously. The black bear grinned and said, "Of course, of course. You respect me, so of course I'll respect you. Promises must be respected even more. How can I not keep my promise? The wine is almost finished." Yun-yang rose to his feet and said, "Let's begin, Brother Bear." The black bear rose to his feet and burped, "Burp. Let's begin." Qin Ruogu should have been happy to hear that the man and the bear were about to fight, but in fact, he was as disheartened as a dead man now. Qin Ruogu's awkward behavior of standing still for a long time made almost everyone present wonder, what is he doing here? Now, even Qin Ruogu himself was wondering, what am I doing here? Who am I? Where am I? This is too embarrassing. I finally remembered that I'm here for the final battle. This is the third match of the ranking tournament of the Celestial Luck Banners. If we lose this match, our ranking will officially drop to the lower ranks of lower-class Celestial Luck Banners. Good heavens! But, looking at the man and the bear eating and drinking beside him, he still dared not to step forward and interfere. The result and the current situation made him feel an indescribable humiliation. It's finally over, they are going to fight, but this only made Qin Ruogu feel even more depressed. He no longer had any hope. As the sect leader of Beast Trainer sect, he had spent a lot of time with the black bear, the divine beast of the sect, and he was all too familiar with its temper and temperament. The black bear staggered away from Yun-yang. When it was about 100 feet away from Yun-yang, it suddenly roared and its body enlarged rapidly, returning to its original size of hundreds of feet tall. Yun-yang was like a tiny bean sprout in front of him. Perhaps he did not even need to use his bare paws, he could just blow Yun-yang away with a single breath. Pian Yun-yang did not even draw his saber, remaining bare-handed. Brother Xiong. Yun-yang cupped his fists. Please enlighten me. Black Bear waved his hand casually. You do it. Yun-yang leaped up, his purple robe fluttering in the air as his palm landed on the Black Bear's chest with a loud bang. Struck by Yun-yang's palm, the Black Bear's mountain-like body was flung off the ground, flying no less than 500 to 600 feet away. It landed on the ground with a loud thud, shaking the ground. A certain bear struggled on the ground and suddenly twitched. He shouted, "What a powerful palm technique! I was actually knocked unconscious." Before he could finish his sentence, he twitched again and then stopped moving. There was dead silence. Qin Ruogu, who was standing aside, was struck dumb. Although he had expected this, it was still too much. In fact, he was not the only one who was struck dumb. Everyone present, including Hui Yunfeng and the other deacons of the sacred palace, was struck dumb. What the f***ck? I can't believe someone can do this. Everyone, including Yun-yang, the culprit, was speechless. This is too fake. Can't you be a little more careful? How could you say something like, "I was knocked unconscious"? Don't tell me you're not knocked unconscious if you don't say that. Are you afraid that others can't tell you're faking it? No, that's not the point. Hui Yunfeng felt his heart trembling, and his eyeballs were hanging out of his eye sockets. What the f***ck? Is this even possible? What the hell is this? Or did I run into a ghost? How could this happen? I've raised a mystical beast for thousands of years, but it turned against me at the last minute because of a drink, and it even took the initiative to help the enemy. This is the first time I've seen something like this in all my life. This is really an eye-opener. Beast Trainer Sect really deserves its reputation. They're really good at training beasts. If you lose, you'll just be demoted. But if I lose, I'll have to pay another 200 Supreme Grade Spiritual Jade. That's 200 Supreme Grade Spiritual Jade. My net worth has shrunk greatly now, and now I've lost 200 Supreme Grade Spiritual Jade. Hui Yunfeng was filled with grief and indignation, and he found that he had fallen into the same trap 3 times in a row. Well, I must learn to be a good boy in the future. As long as Residents of 9 Supremes fight someone else, I'll bet on Residents of 9 Supremes, even if I'm far from them. At this point, a lifelong fan of Residents of 9 Supremes was quietly born. Residents of 9 Supremes wins. Hui Yunfeng announced with a straight face. Surprisingly, Qin Ruogu's expression turned calm, and he was no longer as dazed as before. Lost? That's normal. It would be abnormal if they won in this situation. I must be stupid to bring this black bear to fight. I should have known, Qin Ruogu was, after all, the sect leader of a sect. He knew how to judge the situation and weigh the pros and cons. Without saying a word, he slowly walked up to the black bear and took out the quaint bracelet. I'll go back myself. The black bear resisted. I'm not going in. Roar. Qin Ruogu's face darkened. But, no buts. The black bear was furious. You're going to put me in this bracelet in front of my friends. What the f***ck are you up to? Are you trying to embarrass me? Don't even think about it. Qin Ruogu was speechless. This broken bracelet can no longer hold me. Do you know that? The black bear sniffled. If it weren't for the fact that I could sleep comfortably in it and that I'm giving face to your ancestor and keeping the old promise, I would have broken this broken bracelet. Qin Ruogu was speechless. Anyway, I'm not going in. Try touching me. With a dark face, Qin Ruogu began to recite an incantation. Obviously, he had made up his mind. The black bear was Beast Trainer Sect's greatest trump card, a strategic weapon. Even if he did not show up in battle, his deterrent power was still there. But if he poached him, the sect's overall strength would drop by more than 2 levels, and they would even lose the qualification to stay among the sects with celestial luck banners. Qin Ruogu had made up his mind to go to the extreme. He firmly believed that the forbidden bracelet in his hand could subdue the black bear, and he was even more convinced that his decision was right. The black bear crossed his arms and looked at Qin Ruogu calmly. "Recite it again." "I won't go in even if you recite it 100 times. Qin Ruogu repeated the incantation a few times, but the black bear still crossed his arms and grinned coldly. The incantation had no effect at all. Chapter 1105. Are you going to go back on your promise, Bear Saint King? Qin Ruogu tried several times, but to no avail, so he resorted to a softer strategy. Black Bear snorted, "This king hasn't forgotten. This king is the one who keeps his promises the most, but this king is about to completely fulfill his original promise." Qin Ruogu's eyes went wide with disbelief. "What? You?" The black bear snorted and suddenly stood up, flying to the stands of the beast-controlling sect. He thumped his chest with his 2 huge paws and roared, "I'm about to transform, roar roar roar." Upon hearing the black bear's words, the faces of everyone in Beast Trainer sect turned ashen. "When you transform into a human, you will regain your freedom," the founder of Beast Trainer sect said to Bear King, and it was also Bear King's promise to Beast Trainer sect. When Bear King transformed one day, he would no longer have anything to do with Beast Trainer sect. Was that day finally coming? After losing 3 matches in a row, Beast Trainer sect's momentum was gone, and it was confirmed that they had lost the 6th place among the lower-class celestial luck banners. All the people in Beast Trainer sect were in a daze, as if someone had suddenly pulled out their backbone and turned them into walking corpses. Thousands of years of glory had been destroyed in a moment, and they had become someone else's stepping stone. At this moment, Yu Zhangtai, the sect leader of Green Nether sect, who was ranked 5th, asked in a deafening voice, "May I ask if sect leader Yun is going to stop here, or continue the challenge?" It was the first time Yu Zhangtai had spoken, and he was asking about Yun Yang's ultimate goal. If Yun Yang and the residents of 9 Supremes were satisfied with the current middle-tier position of the lower-class celestial luck banner, there was no need for them to continue with the following battles. However, if they insisted on continuing to challenge, it would mean that they coveted a higher rank. Yun Yang smiled and said, "Of course the challenge will continue. So far, no sect or anyone has won any match of residents of 9 Supremes. Naturally, we can't stop here, or even we will look down on ourselves. What do you say, sect leader Qin?" Yu Zhangtai asked. "Should we just admit defeat in the last 2 matches, or?" Yu Zhangtai's words were somewhat meaningful, and there was a hidden meaning in them. Qin Ruogu's eyes were bloodshot as he said hysterically, "Of course we're going to fight the 4th match. It won't be so easy for residents of 9 Supremes to pass our Beast Trainer sect with a complete victory." Yun Yang stared at him, the corners of his lips curling up in mockery as he said, "Sect leader Qin, your decision is still considered, harming others without benefiting yourself." Qin Ruogu snorted, his face livid. As Yun Yang had said, what Qin Ruogu did was harming others without benefiting himself. Beast Trainer sect had lost 3 matches in a row. According to the rules of the match, which was to win 3 out of 5 matches, Beast Trainer sect's defeat was already a foregone conclusion. Even if they persisted in the 4th match or even won it, it was still impossible for them to return to their original position. It would only hinder residents of 9 Supremes' progress, a typical case of harming others without benefiting themselves. But no matter what, Qin Ruogu had to fight this battle. Yun Yang had stolen his disciple right in front of him and destroyed Beast Trainer sect's strongest trump card. He could not swallow this. "Yun Yang, you've secretly colluded with Bear Saint King just now and played dirty tricks, causing us to lose without fighting. Although we've lost the match according to the rules, in our hearts, we haven't lost." Qin Ruogu said aloud, "If you win the 4th match, we'll give up the 5th match." However, in our hearts, the fourth match is the real deciding match. Beast Trainer Sect will definitely defeat the residents of 9 Supremes. Many people from Beast Trainer Sect nodded hard when they heard that. That's right. Yun Yang won the match just now in an inexplicable way. No one would believe that there was nothing fishy about it. How can we be convinced by such a result? Yun Yang laughed and said, then, how do you want to compete, sect leader Qin? A ruthless look came over Qin Ruogu's eyes as he said, the fourth match will be decided by a battle of mystical beasts. The crowd burst into an uproar as soon as his words rang out. A battle of mystical beasts? Beast Trainer Sect is famous for raising mystical beasts, and it's normal for you to use them in battles, but residents of 9 Supremes is not such a sect. Where did they get their mystical beasts from? Qin Ruogu said, I've already said that the fourth match will be a free-for-all match. According to the rules, I have the right to choose the way of the match. So, we'll use the battle of mystical beasts as the mode of the match. Both sides will send out their mystical beasts and let them fight it out in the arena. Sect leader Yun, you've won the third match with the rules. Don't tell me you're going to break the rules in the fourth match. Sect leader Yun, please summon your mystical beasts. Qin Ruogu's words seemed to make sense. You, Yun Yang, made a sneak attack in the match just now, seduced the Black Bear King, and won the match inexplicably. Now, I've also countered you with the rules. What's there to complain about? But all the people from residents of 9 Supremes and even those from other sects rolled their eyes. Your argument doesn't hold water at all. Putting aside the fact that it's already very unethical of you to bring a divine beast into the match of sect leaders, even if Yun Yang has seduced your mystical beasts, so what? If he has the ability to do so, it's because you're not good at controlling your beasts and you don't have enough control over them. What does it have to do with Yun Yang? You, on the other hand, did this out of exasperation because your disciple was poached. You're obviously trying to pester us endlessly, so what? It's a blatant act of bullying. How can you compete like this? Yun Yang doesn't have any mystical beasts at all, but you insist on competing with him in this. It was like a 300 catty fat man making a bet with a 70 catty skinny man, and the fat man said, let's compete in fat. Whoever has more fat will win. This was clearly acting shamelessly. It was a typical case of being shameless. Yun Yang was taken aback as well. Compete in mystical beasts? Qin Ruogu snorted and said darkly, please, sect leader Yun. Yun Yang's face was full of wonder. If I don't have any mystical beasts, then you can just admit defeat, Qin Ruogu said indifferently. Once you admit defeat, the battle between our two sects will come to an end, and there will be no need for the fifth match. Upon hearing that, Yun Yang's face seemed to turn bitter, and he was stunned for a moment. When Qin Ruogu saw Yun Yang's expression, the comfort in his heart skyrocketed. Yun Yang, I didn't expect you to have such a day. Ha ha ha. Residents of 9 Supremes has many trump cards, and I'm not going too far. Why don't I give you one more victory? I'll only send out one king-level mystical beast. As long as you win, you'll advance to the next round. Before his voice could fade away, a beam of black light flashed, and in the next moment, a ferocious leopard, 70 feet long, appeared in the arena. It threw its head back and roared, wagged its tail, and bared its fangs. Yun Yang turned to look at Hui Yunfeng on the high platform. Obviously, he was asking for his opinion, or rather, he was implicitly asking for help. Hui Yunfeng sighed. Although he also despised Qin Ruogu's move, it was still within the rules, and it was allowed to happen. The fourth match, the battle of mystical beasts. Hui Yunfeng's voice rang out slowly. This meant that what the beast-controlling sect had done was allowed by the rules and was effective. Chapter 1106. He was drunk today. I've been sober for 12 days. I drank too much today. It wasn't because of anything, but because it had been too long, then it was because he didn't feel like doing anything today. I just want to drink some wine. As for other things, f*ck them. Being a man is tiring. He had to take care of his wife, children, father, mother, mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law and their children. As a man, if you don't earn money, everyone will scold you, useless. As a man, you can't earn a single cent. When you make money, everyone comes to you, give some money. It was too difficult for everyone, difficult, it was really difficult. But f*ck. Once out, there was no coming back. In the dead of night, he asked himself, where did the money come from? He had been pulling all-nighters for more than 10 years, and at the age of 33, his hair had turned white by the time he was 33 years old. He wrote some words in exchange for some subscription money, and he was still one of the better off among his peers. If he lent it out, no one would return it. Why don't you try asking for money? You've earned so much, and you're still asking for money. Are you even human? You earned so much, but your classmate died of poverty. Are you even human? You earned so much, but your colleagues die of poverty. Are you still human? You made so much money, but your friend's sister died in a car accident, and you didn't pay. Are you even human? You earned so much, but your comrade lost his business and went bankrupt, yet you only paid a few tens of thousands. Are you even human? Are you even human? Am I a human? I'm asking myself this question today. MLGB. Am I a human? I didn't let my wife down, I didn't let down my children, I didn't let down my parents, I didn't let down the social ethics, and I didn't let down the country. Am I still human? Don't you think so? It's because of you that I'm not human. I helped you. I'm human. If I don't help you, I'm not human. f*ck. Humans, living in this society, damn it. There was only one word for it. I've said it 1,000,000 times. Some time ago, someone asked me, if there is an afterlife, what would you choose? I said, I will be a pig. I don't understand anything. After eating and drinking, I'm going to sleep. When are you going to kill me? I don't even know what this means. f*king compete. Happiness. I feel that in this life, I've lived too much like a human. In my next life, I will be a pig. Not even a human. Remember the mobile URL, I'll take a day off today. P1/1, bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 1107. Everyone from the other sects was looking at Yun Yang and the people of Residence of Nine Supremes with a gloating look on their faces. Serves you right. Who asked you to show off? Who asked you to be invincible? Who asked you to be so arrogant? You've encountered an unsolvable problem, haven't you? Just admit defeat now, brother. Even if you can win the favor of this mystical beast in front of you, you can't turn into a mystical beast yourself, can you? Unless Residence of Nine Supremes really has another mystical beast to hold the line. Yun Yang was silent for a moment, as if weighing the pros and cons, and then said, Sect Leader Qin, you've really given me a big problem. The Master of Residence of Nine Supremes is indeed not the Master of Residence of Nine Supremes. However, since Sect Leader Qin has made such a generous offer, it would be inexcusable if I don't respond to it. Let me ask you, how many mystical beasts can you send at once? Qin Ruoga's laughter shook the sky. How many? Supreme Cloud, as long as you have mystical beasts, you can send at least 100 of them. Are you serious? Yun Yang asked. Qin Ruoga burst out laughing. Of course, of course. I'm relieved to hear that, Sect Leader Qin, Yun Yang said. By the way, can we also bring mystical beasts into the fight when we fight with the people of other sects? His words were directed at Hu Yunfeng, who was on the high platform. Hui Yunfeng pondered for a moment and said, Beast Trainer Sect is not the only exception to bring mystical beasts to assist in the fight. As long as a mystical beast is tamed, it will be part of the overall fighting strength of the sect. Naturally, we can bring mystical beasts into the fight. Yunyang nodded and said, I see. Then, there is no problem. Yu Changtai of the Green Darkness sect laughed and said, Since there are no more questions, Leader Yun, please send your mystical beasts into the arena. Win this match quickly and end the fight between residents of 9 Supremes and Beast Trainer sect. We, the Green Darkness sect, can't wait to fight Leader Yun's residents of 9 Supremes. As soon as his words came out, the crowd burst into laughter. Win this match? Yu Zhangtai, you are obviously being sarcastic. Residents of 9 Supremes does not even have a mystical beast. You are about to admit defeat. Yun Yang's gaze flickered as he said coldly, I won't disappoint sect leader Yu. After saying that, he took out something from his bosom and placed it in his sleeve, gently stroking it, pretending to be mysterious. Qin Ruogu twitched his lips. However, the next moment, all the people, including Qin Ruogu and Hui Yunfeng, who were laughing heartily, suddenly froze in unison. His eyes instantly widened as if he had seen a ghost. Following Yun Yang's caress, a snow-white mystical beast leaped out from Yun Yang's sleeves. There really were Xian beasts. Everyone's eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. F***ck me. The sect leader of the residents of 9 Supremes really had everything. You even created Xian beasts? Everyone could only feel their eyeballs popping out of their sockets. They could no longer contain their eyes. Then, another snow-white thing jumped out. Another one, there was another one. The 4 snow-white mystical beasts landed on the ground one by one, circling Yun Yang's calf and meowing. They looked like 4 little pom-poms, very adorable. Qin Ruogu and the others' restless hearts were put back to their stomachs in an instant. Are these 4 cats? And they seem to be newborn kittens? It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Even if these cats are really Xian beasts, they are most likely just pets. Now that Yun Yang was forced to use them, he wanted to give it a try. Even if 10,000 of these little fellows come at me at the same time, it will still be useless. Our Xian beast is a whirlwind leopard. Although it's only a king, it's more than enough to deal with this battle. No matter how powerful a cat is, can it be more powerful than a leopard? Then, Yun Yang pointed at the battlefield and said, You 4, go and defeat that big guy. The crowd sneered at the same time. Have you gone mad from anxiety, or are you dreaming? Are you counting on these 4 little cuties to defeat a king-level whirlwind leopard? However, what happened next caused everyone to widen their eyes in shock. One of the cats let out a soft meow and turned its head to look at the whirlwind leopard in the field. Following the first cat's actions, the other cats also turned their heads and stared at the field without blinking. It seemed that these 4 cats understood Yun Yang's words. That can't be. It must be a coincidence. If they did, they would run as fast as they can when they hear that their master is sending their brothers to die. However, the next moment, with a soft swoosh, a white shadow leaped into the air and flew toward the battlefield. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, the white shadow grew larger and larger as it flew through the air. When it was about to land on the ground, it had grown into a ferocious and terrifying white beast, standing at least 80 feet tall. With a loud boom, it landed on the ground, raised its head, and let out a roar. The audience was thrown off their feet in an instant. Damn it! That's not a cat. It's a leopard. But what kind of leopard is it? Why does it look like an eclipse panther? That's not right, an eclipse panther can't be so huge. A whirlwind leopard? No, it's a whirlwind leopard, the difference can be seen with just one comparison. Or perhaps a leopard? It's even less likely that its appearance is different. Snow leopard? Or not? Since when could a snow leopard be so powerful? It's impossible. What kind of breed is it then? Before the crowd could even think about it, another white shadow flew over, growing larger and larger. Another one, and another one, for snow-white behemoths surrounded the whirlwind leopard in the middle. The ferocious whirlwind leopard that was initially baring its fangs and brandishing its claws was now like a little witch facing a great witch, curling up pitifully into a ball. Suppression of its size. Suppression of its level. Suppression of its combat power. The pitiful whirlwind leopard tried its best to curl its body into a ball. It let out pitiful cries as it begged for mercy. Its tail was tightly clamped between its hind legs. Its eyes were filled with a pitiful look. "Oh my God, didn't you tell me to come out and show off my prowess? Why did these 4 big fellows suddenly appear? I can't defeat any one of them, any one of them can defeat 10 of them, and now 4 of them are surrounding me. How can you bully a leopard like this?" The whirlwind leopard felt so wrong that it wanted to cry. "Oh!" The 4 whiteys howled together, their ferocious eyes locked onto the whirlwind leopard at the same time. "It's too scary." The whirlwind leopard knelt down with a thud. "Spare me," there was no suspense. They didn't even need to fight. As a contestant, the whirlwind leopard was already scared to the point of wetting its pants. It seemed like it only had one more breath than a dead leopard. What was the point of fighting? Don't trample on the leopard. The spectator stands were filled with dull and lifeless gazes, as well as many dumbfounded faces. Chapter 1108. Qin Ruogu's lips were trembling. His face was ashen, and his eyes were rolling up, as if he could faint at any moment. Suddenly, he realized that it was not without reason that Yun Yang could seduce the Black Bear King. It turned out that he was really an expert in mystical beasts. With just these 4 mystical beasts, he had defeated 99% of the mystical beasts in Beast Trainer sect. Even if these 4 leopards could not defeat the Black Bear King, they could still put up a good fight. Not to mention Yun Yang himself, even if the Black Bear King was willing to go all out, he might not be able to defeat them. Furthermore, while the 4 leopards that Yun Yang had summoned were rare and valuable, could anyone be sure that Yun Yang did not have any other tricks up his sleeves? What if he had other trump cards that he had not shown? At this moment, Qin Ruogu only wanted to say, "Big brother, why didn't you tell me earlier that you had such strength? If you had, would have knelt down long ago. Now that I've completely offended residents of 9 Supremes, you've only shown part of your true strength. What do you want?" Before today, Beast Trainer sect was a prestigious sect with a lower grade and middle grade celestial luck banner. But in just one day, we've been defeated one after another. Our celestial luck banner's grade has dropped, and our divine beast is about to surrender to him. What's worse is that we've made such an invincible enemy for no reason. Does the heavens want to destroy Beast Trainer sect? Qin Ruogu subconsciously turned his eyes to the Black Bear King, hoping that he could give him some advice. To his surprise, the Black Bear King gave him a disdainful look and then closed his eyes. "Humph, now you know how to be afraid. From the beginning, I've felt that this little brother Yun is the best friend of us mystical beasts. Look at what he's done. He's given me wine, food, and care, and he's been very kind to me even though he has such a strong fighting strength. He's 100 times better than all of you in Beast Trainer sect. You should all regret it." The corner of Yu Zhangtai's mouth, who was still clamoring just now, was twitching, and his face was pale and filled with despair. The people from the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd sects were all dumbfounded. Hui Yunfeng's mouth was wide open, and his jaw was almost dislocated. At this point, the endless trump cards of residents of 9 Supremes had been deeply rooted in everyone's hearts and could not be erased. Residents of 9 Supremes wins. Hui Yunfeng spat out a few words with difficulty and swallowed. There was only one thought in his mind: it's such a powerful sect, and I've been betting on them to lose? What kind of moronic behavior was that? What a wastrel! He had squandered to the point where the sun and moon had lost their light. This was no longer losing money on purpose. It was emptying one's own pockets, borrowing money, and then kneeling in front of others to beg for their help. Moreover, it was the kind of squandering method where they would commit suicide if they did not accept it. "I'm so stupid, so stupid," Hui Yunfeng muttered. Fifth battle, forfeit, admit defeat. When Qin Ruogu said that, all his spirit, qi, and spirit seemed to be sucked out at the same time, and he slumped down in his seat like a pile of mud. Everyone's complicated gazes were focused on Yunyang. Yunyang smiled gently and said, "Lord Deacon, the residents of 9 Supremes would like to continue the next round of challenge. In the next battle, we would like to challenge the 5th-ranked Green Darkness sect." Yu Zhangtai, the sect leader of the 5th-ranked Green Darkness sect, looked ashen. "Alas, I really didn't know we could bring mystical beasts into the arena." Yunyang was a little regretful. "We almost lost a few times. If I had known we could bring mystical beasts into the arena, I wouldn't have let Yixing suffer so much." He smiled and said, "From now on, we will not be careless anymore. We will bring mystical beasts into the arena in every battle, and we will show our opponents the greatest respect with our strongest strength." Yu Zhangtai covered his face with his hand. "Don't respect me. Don't respect me, okay? You can look down on me as much as you want, as long as you don't bring mystical beasts into the arena. What the F***ck? If you bring a Saint King level mystical beast into the arena, how are we going to fight? This beast trainer sect deserves to die. Who the F***ck asked you to mention this?" Everyone's eyes were filled with resentment as they turned to look at beast trainer sect. At this moment, all the sects that had not been challenged looked at them as if they wanted to eat them alive. If possible, they really wanted to eat these brainless fools from beast trainer sect one bite at a time. "I'm so angry. You are clearly digging a pit for all of us to jump into. We didn't know we could bring mystical beasts at all." Hui Yunfeng's eyebrows twitched. "Fine." Ding Byuk and Yu Bunning came up to him with heavy faces. "Boss, let's have another bet and have some fun." Hui Yunfeng looked at them with grief and indignation in his eyes. Ding Byuk said, "Beast Trainer sect has the help of mystical beasts, but they still can't beat the 5th-ranked Green Nether sect. I'm afraid residents of 9 Supremes will not be able to continue. Let's still bet on residents of 9 Supremes for this match. Let's have a little bet between us brothers." "That's right," Yu Bunning said, "Boss has lost so much, and we really can't bear it anymore. We'll continue to bet on residents of 9 Supremes for this match, so that you can win back all your losses." Hui Yunfeng's face had turned as red as the bottom of a pot. In a trembling voice, he said word by word, "You guys, want more? Boss, why are you still cursing people? Not only do I curse, but I also want to beat people up." The following challenges of the residents of 9 Supremes suddenly became smooth sailing, as if the conditions were right and success was assured. After some discussion, Green Nether sect, which ranked 5th, quickly made a decision. "Admit defeat." Yu Zhangtai's face darkened, and he looked like he was about to explode. The decision was undoubtedly very aggrieved, helpless, and humiliating. But, he had no choice but to give in. Everyone in Green Nether sect wore a dark face, sighing and wringing their hands. The strength residents of 9 Supremes had shown was already very strong, and if it was a real fair fight, Green Nether sect might not be its match. Although Green Nether sect's overall fighting strength was a little stronger than Beast Trainer sect, it was not much stronger. After watching residents of 9 Supremes' previous matches, they did not have much chance of winning. But, it was one thing to have little chance of winning, and another to fight for it with all their might. Basically, every sect that owned a celestial luck banner had a specialty that others could not match. For example, the Thousand Mountains sect dominated with the Tao of formations, the beast-controlling sect had mystical beasts to assist them in battle, and the Green Nether sect relied on their speed. The so-called entering and exiting Green Nether sect and controlling swords was the fundamental cultivation technique that Green Nether sect relied on. In terms of speed alone, none of the sects with lower-class celestial luck banners could match it. If it were not for Beast Trainer sect, Green Nether sect might not have the strength to stop residents of Nine Supremes from going further, but it was not impossible to stop residents of Nine Supremes from continuing its challenge. Chapter 1109. As long as Qingming sect's disciples avoided direct confrontations and maximized their speed, there was a great chance that they could defeat any one of the top 10 disciples of residents of Nine Supremes. Although Yun Xiaofan and the others possessed extraordinary strength, their actual combat experience was shallow. If they encountered an enemy and kept avoiding a head-on battle, it was almost certain that they would become impatient, and it was only reasonable that they would be defeated in the end. But now, residents of Nine Supremes' combat force had the help of a Holy King mystical beast. How could they fight it? They were bound to lose. If they forced themselves to fight, they would only feel more aggrieved, helpless, and humiliated. If they admitted defeat now, they would be less humiliated. They could also avoid the embarrassing scene of being beaten black and blue before admitting defeat. Therefore, residents of Nine Supremes climbed to the 5th place without shedding any blood and continued to challenge Great Dragon Hall, which ranked 4th. After some discussion, Great Dragon Hall, which ranked 4th, also made the same choice as Qingming sect. They had to admit defeat. They had no choice but to admit defeat. Although Great Dragon Hall's strength was stronger, they still did not have the confidence to deal with residents of Nine Supremes, which was assisted by a Holy King mystical beast. Although their ranking had fallen, it did not affect their grade. With Qingming sect as an example, even the feeling of aggrieved helplessness had faded a lot. At the right time, residents of Nine Supremes began to sprint toward the top 3. There was not much suspense in what happened to the top 3 sections. First, 100 Flowers Tower, whose members were all women, admitted defeat. 100 Flowers Tower's martial arts, techniques, formations, and movement skills were excellent, enough to contend with residents of Nine Supremes. However, the astonishing combat strength that residents of Nine Supremes had shown earlier vaguely restrained 100 Flowers Tower. When they thought of the mystical beast's assistance, they simply gave up, and residents of Nine Supremes fell to the 3rd place. Then, the Pavilion of Earth, who ranked 2nd, was the first sect to go head-on against the residents of Nine Supremes after 3 sects forfeited and admitted defeat. It was a pity that they had either overestimated their defensive capabilities or underestimated the residents of Nine Supremes' formidable combat power. 4 sects took turns to fight, and after a round of intense battles, they had lost 5 of their matches. Dejected, the Pavilion of Earth retreated to the 3rd place. Now, residents of Nine Supremes only had Golden Cauldron sect, which ranked 1st among the lower-class celestial luck banners. At this moment, the Earth Pavilion, the 100 Flowers Tower, the Great Dragon Hall, the Green Nether sect, the Beast-controlling sect, the Illusory Sword sect, and the Thousand Mountains sect, whose ranks had dropped one by one, did not leave the battlefield. They were all watching from the sidelines. Only when the battle ended would the 5th heaven come to an end. The 7 sects watched as the seats of the residents of Nine Supremes changed again and again, gradually climbing higher. From the moment he first entered, there were no seats, no spectator stands, all the way to the 2nd place. His momentum was still like a rainbow, and he never stopped advancing. Everyone's gaze was complicated and indescribable. Throughout the hundreds of thousands of years of history in the bound of universe, such a rapid rate of advancement had never been seen before. In the beginning, he had no reputation and was nothing at all. But now, he was fighting his way to 1st place. It was a marvelous sight to behold. In fact, from the moment residents of Nine Supremes climbed to the 6th place, it had already created a new record in the entire bound of universe, and they were still breaking and breaking this record again and again. The people of the Thousand Mountains sect sighed faintly. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have fought so desperately. Everything is in vain, and I will eventually become a laughingstock. Only when they saw the strength displayed now did they realize how ridiculous their initial thoughts and actions were. You want to stop the advancement of residents of 9 Supremes with your meager strength? Now, Golden Cauldron sect was in the most awkward position. Currently, the Golden Cauldron sect was feeling extremely depressed. This big boss had been eagerly preparing for the battle, wanting to go one step further and challenge the middle-class Celestial Luck Banner. He even thought that he was fully prepared and had submitted his application, and the 3rd level might already be waiting for him to challenge it. Once the process here was over and the other sects went back to their own homes, it would be time for Golden Cauldron sect to create a new legend and write a dazzling brilliance. Whether they won or lost in the end, whether they succeeded or not, it would be a rare experience for Golden Cauldron sect in recent years, a legendary feat worthy of being recorded in the history of the martial world. Everything was within their expectations, but who would have thought that at the very last moment, a dark horse would jump out of nowhere and charge up to them like a hot knife through butter, wanting to compete with them for the first place of the lower-class Celestial Luck Banner? In all fairness, Golden Cauldron sect no longer valued the position of the chief disciple of the lower-class Celestial Luck Banner. They already had a higher goal, and they even had the strength to achieve it. Naturally, they had no desire to linger on the past. But the problem now was that if they lost the first place, they would be qualified to go up there. How could they go one step further? It was no longer a matter of qualification, but a matter of face. They were all prepared and waiting for them to challenge them, but they chose not to go and were defeated by another sect that ranked lower than them. Wasn't this the most unimaginable thing in the world? If this turned out to be true, Golden Cauldron sect would definitely become the biggest joke in the bound of universe, enough to make countless cultivators laugh for 1,000 years. We must fight. Not only must we fight, but we must win. The leader of Golden Cauldron sect, Wei Tao, was an extremely ugly man. His arms were thin, his legs were thin, his face was thin, and his mouth was thin. However, there was a big belly that was trembling on the outside. His head was shining with a golden light, but there was not a single hair on it. In other words, the so-called baldness. The rest of the people from Golden Cauldron sect wore a solemn expression. They had to fight, of course. But the problem was, how could they fight? How could they have a chance of winning? In terms of individual combat strength, Golden Cauldron sect had the intention to ascend to a middle-class Celestial Luck Banner sect. Their overall combat strength was not something that other lower-class Celestial Luck Banner sects could compare with. They had 3 second-tier Saint Kings, one of whom had reached the pinnacle of second-tier Saint King. The reputation of the Golden Cauldron 3 elders was well known even among many middle-class Celestial Luck Banner sections. If it was a one-on-one fight, the 3 of them were confident that they could take down the representative of residents of 9 Supremes. Even the so-called number 1 expert, Luo Dujiang, was no exception. But now, that damned beast trainer sect had played a crooked trick at the last minute, trying to take advantage of the situation. Instead, they had dug their own grave. Not only were they defeated, but they had also given their opponent a killing weapon that was even more detestable than a cheat. How could they fight against 4 Saint King-level mystical beasts? The truth was obvious. Before the battle with Beast Trainer sect, they did not know that mystical beasts could participate in the battle, or perhaps, they did not even think about it. Otherwise, the battle would not have been so brutal. Damned Beast Trainer sect. Genius 1 second to remember website. Mobile version. Chapter 11:10. In fact, this kind of situation would not occur in other sections. Apart from sects like the beast-controlling sect that specialized in taming and training mystical beasts, other sects would not even consider releasing mystical beasts to assist in battle. Not every sect had mystical beasts that were well-trained and in sync with their masters. However, this rule did not apply to the residents of 9 Supremes at all. Each of the 4 Saint King-level mystical beasts in the residence of 9 Supremes was extremely intelligent, obedient, and perceptive. This had already been proven in the battle with Beast Trainer sect, so there was no question that they could not be controlled. Therefore, after going up against Beast Trainer sect's shameless tactics, the combat power of the residents of 9 Supremes had skyrocketed to a height that was daunting and even despairing. In the 5 battles with the Pavilion of Earth just now, there was a Saint King mystical beast accompanying them in each battle. The sturdy defense that the Pavilion of Earth was famous for was not enough. Now, this powerful enemy with a skyrocketing strength had come before them again. It was really difficult to deal with it. What was the difference between a martial artist and a mystical beast? For example, if a martial artist had reached the level of a first-grade Saint King, and a mystical beast was also at the level of a first-grade Saint King, then, even if 5 first-grade Saint King martial artists gathered, they would probably only be able to defeat 1 first-grade Saint King mystical beast. This was an innate gap that could not be made up for by ordinary martial techniques or secret arts. For example, it was very easy for a mystical beast to enlarge its body because its body was already so big, and its strength was already so strong. It was also possible to make a martial artist enlarge his body in an instant, but not only could it not last long, it would also consume a large amount of mystical qi. The martial artist would probably be beaten back to his original size after a short fight with the mystical beast. This was also reasonable. How could the strength of an ordinary person be compared to the strength of an ordinary bear? If it could be compared, then the human would not be called a human, but a human bear. If it was just the Xian beasts, the Golden Cauldron sect would still be in a difficult position. However, they would not feel too hopeless. After all, the 4 Xian beasts had stopped at the peak of the first-grade Saint King. Compared to the second-grade Saint King on their side, they were more or less on par. If they were to try their luck, they might be able to win. However, whether it was Luo Dejiang or the other people from residence of 9 Supremes, each of them had the cultivation base of a Saint King. They might not be able to fight one-on-one, but they were more than enough to distract and interfere from the side. With their first-tier Saint King strength, it was enough for the 3 Golden Cauldron elders to suffer just by hiding behind the mystical beasts and launching sneak attacks. No matter how you attacked, the huge profound beast in front of him would be able to easily block it, and wouldn't be able to hurt him at all. But on the other hand, as long as he successfully ambushed them once, they would have to pay a considerable price. There was still no chance of winning the Battle of Formations. The stunning performance of residents of 9 Supremes in the battle against Thousand Mountains sect had already completely awed all the sects with lower-class celestial luck banners, making them invincible. Thinking deeper, the Battle of Formations was a group battle. Would residents of 9 Supremes directly send 4 mystical beasts to assist them? Forget about the Battle of Formations. The mere thought of it was terrifying. There was no need to even think about it. There was no need to think about the Battle of Disciples. The disciples from residents of 9 Supremes would definitely bring their mystical beasts with them. With the cultivation base of their disciples, it would be a great fortune if they were not killed by the opponent's mystical beasts. The Battle of the Sect Leaders? The Battle of the Pinnacle? The Battle of the Backbone? The Battle of Free Will? Which battle did they have the confidence to win? The people from Golden Cauldron sect thought about it and realized sadly that as long as the factor of mystical beasts assisting them was taken into account, the chances of winning would become very slim. Damn Beast Trainer sect. Wei Tao's head was 3 times bigger now. How could our Golden Cauldron sect, the top disciple of lower-class celestial luck banners, suddenly fall into such a difficult situation? Unable to advance or retreat, and unable to continue? They had great strength, but they were forced to death by 4 mystical beasts. Hui Yunfeng, who was standing on the high platform, looked a little numb. How could residents of 9 Supremes be so monstrous? I thought it was already commendable that you could fight your way to the 7th or 8th place, but I didn't expect you to soar all the way to the top. The leaders of Golden Cauldron sect and residents of 9 Supremes, please come up to the platform to discuss the battle. When Hui Yunfeng said this, he still had a subtle feeling that he was dreaming. I'm an idiot. When a sect that can compete for the first place is fighting with other sects that are not even in the top 3, I actually bet on them losing 3 times in a row. I even have to be the banker, bet with supreme grade spiritual jade, and even increase the odds. Is there anyone more stupid than me in this world? I'm not completely bankrupt because of this. I seem to have some luck. Wei Tao's face darkened as he said, Lord Attendant, it's getting late now. Why don't we fight tomorrow? The crowd burst into an uproar. Incredulous eyes were fixed on him. It's getting late? What was going on? Why did he say that it was already dark? However, Golden Cauldron sect had taken the initiative to ask for a postponement. This was the Golden Cauldron sect that ranked first with the lower-class Celestial Luck banner. How could they not have the confidence to face residents of 9 Supremes, who had just charged up to them? It was absurd, but it was realistic. Hui Yunfeng nodded in agreement. He did not think Golden Cauldron sect's decision was absurd at all. It was realistic. If it were him, he would have to fight for a night to come up with a countermeasure in the face of such a tough challenge. How was it absurd? Therefore, they called a truce for the day. Although the reason was high-sounding, everyone understood that Golden Cauldron sect was stalling because they had no other choice. Everyone in Golden Cauldron sect felt ashamed. The high platform where the attendant was located was in the middle, while Golden Cauldron sect and residents of 9 Supremes were on the left and right respectively. Both sides could see each other's faces clearly. Residents of 9 Supremes was overjoyed and full of vigor, while Golden Cauldron sect was lifeless. Perhaps, their positions would be swapped tomorrow. This was residents of 9 Supremes' goal, but it was also the outcome that Golden Cauldron sect was most unwilling to see. There's no need to deploy when we fight Golden Cauldron sect tomorrow. It doesn't matter. We have a trump card in our hands, so victory is assured. Yunyang said loudly, have a good rest tonight. Everyone has worked hard. Tomorrow, we'll deal with whatever comes our way. Shi Wuchen and the others answered loudly, while the disciples' voices were clear and crisp. Yes, Master. We're invincible. The phrase, we're invincible, had almost become the mantra of residents of 9 Supremes' disciples, and they had probably forgotten the true meaning of the phrase. Wei Tao and the others were so angry that they fell backward. Chapter 11:11. While they were still fretting over what to do, the other side actually said, no deployment, it doesn't matter. Sure to win? Invincible with me? F***ck, is the gap so huge? Can't you be more arrogant? That night, the Golden Cauldron sect held a meeting until midnight. Everyone still felt helpless, unable to advance or retreat. Only one of the higher-ups came up with a countermeasure that seemed to give them some hope. Everyone went up and found an opportunity to self-detonate, taking the opponent's mystical beast and their opponent down with them at once. This could ensure a draw. However, only the Golden Cauldron 3 elders were qualified and capable of accomplishing this. If all 3 elders self-detonated, they could get 3 draws, but what about the 4th and 5th matches? What could the Golden Cauldron sect rely on to fight for a draw or a victory? When it came to the Ascension battle of lower-class Celestial Luck banners, the residents of 9 Supremes no longer needed to win all 5 matches. As long as they could gain an advantage in the number of matches won, they would win. 3 draws were not very useful. Moreover, the 3 draws needed a reason, which meant that the three elders could only handle the 3 matches if the backbone of the sect decided to take the initiative. How should they deal with the next 2 matches then? They would give up the match of formations, and the match of sect leaders. Wei Tao estimated that his cultivation base and Yun Yang should be on par, and he might not win even if he fought them head-on. Moreover, the opponent had the mystical beast to support him, so he had no chance of winning either. The next match of disciples would be even less likely to win due to the mystical beast factor, F***ck. Thinking about it, even if they managed to get 3 draws in the first 3 matches, they would still lose the last 2 matches, and the result would still be no hope of winning. How could they fight then? The crowd was so melancholic that they almost wanted to kill themselves. The eldest of the Golden Cauldron 3 elders, Chu Xiaofan, frowned. I've lived for more than 3,000 years and I've been through many storms, but I've never encountered such a thing. This is strange. His words enraged the crowd, and they began to curse Beast Trainer Sect in unison. It's all the fault of those fools from Beast Trainer Sect. Their smarts have led to the current situation. It's obvious that he can't beat his opponent. He's already lost all 3 battles, yet he still refuses to admit defeat. Instead, he has the cheek to suggest a free battle. This is a self-destructive bastard. If they hadn't reminded the residents of 9 Supremes, we wouldn't have ended up like this. I'm really mad. Those bastards from the Beast Control Sect will definitely die a horrible death. Once the Battle of the Imperial Banner is over, I will definitely not let them go. Wei Tao rubbed his temples, feeling a headache coming on. Guys, don't curse the Beast Trainer Sect for now. After this battle, I'll take the lead and stop them halfway and beat them up. I can even kill them all. The problem now is us. What should we do? As soon as he said this, everyone immediately fell silent. What to do? We've been discussing this issue for an entire night. If we knew what to do, would we still need to curse like this? Tomorrow, I will represent you in the Battle of the Pinnacle. Chu Xiaofan sighed helplessly. Let's try our best to stall for a while. If it really doesn't work, then we'll find an opportunity to self-detonate. Everything can wait until then. If I am lucky enough to win, then we still have a chance. If I can't win, I'll also try to self-detonate and drag the opponent down with me to a draw. Let's see if we can get lucky after the first 3 rounds, but if I can't kill the opponent even with my self-detonation. Chu Xiaofan sighed bitterly. Then we'll just admit defeat. If we continue to fight, we'll only embarrass ourselves even more. Everyone lowered their heads and thought for a moment, realizing that this seemed to be the only feasible solution at the moment. He could only take it one step at a time and see how it goes. Chu Xiaofan was right. If he did his best and won in the end, or even if he could not win, there would still be a point in fighting in the future with his self-detonation. However, if even his self-detonation could not kill the opponent, then everything would be meaningless. It was still meaningful to put up a stubborn resistance when there was a chance. If there was no chance at all and he still insisted on fighting, then he would only be embarrassing himself and making a fool of himself. At this moment, Wei Tao's shiny head looked a little dispirited. He took 2 quick breaths and said, "This is the only thing we can do." Sigh. Everyone, get some rest. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Uncle Master, Golden Cauldron Sect will rely on your strength. When everyone had left, Wei Tao looked at Chu Xiaofan pitifully. He suddenly felt that his state of mind had become much bleaker in the middle of the night. Chu Xiaofan heaved a long sigh and said, "I'll do my best. I thought that we could climb to the middle-class ranks of the Celestial Luck Banners this time, a feat that no one in Golden Cauldron Sect has ever done." Chu Xiaofang's sigh was filled with helplessness. Who would have thought that we might not even be able to secure the first place of the lower class? Wei Tao blinked his eyes and coughed. We might still be able to secure the first place of the lower class. Chu Xiaofan perked up and asked, what do you mean? Wei Tao's face suddenly flushed as he said embarrassedly, Uncle Master's understanding of the ranking of the celestial luck banners is a little biased. If Residents of Nine Supremes defeats us, not only will they become the chief disciple of the lower-class celestial luck banners, they will also have the qualification to challenge the middle-class celestial luck banners. With Residents of Nine Supremes' comprehensive combat strength, even we are no match for them. I believe the last place of the middle-class celestial luck banners will also be hard to deal with. In other words, the last place among the original mid-class celestial luck banners is bound to fall to the lower-class sects, but the sects with the original lower-class celestial luck banners have the right to challenge the sects with the lower-class celestial luck banners once. Although this rule exists, it is rarely used, but it suits us perfectly. As long as we can defeat the eliminated sect, we will still be the first place among the lower-class sects, and we might even have a chance to advance to the mid-class celestial luck banner. 3 years later, we still have a chance. As Wei Tao spoke, his voice became softer and softer. In the end, it was almost inaudible. Chu Xiaofan blinked his eyes, his mouth slightly open as he stared at his sect leader martial nephew. In truth, Chu Xiaofan was already frightened by his sect master martial nephew's words. What a far-sighted man. Now, he was already thinking about what would happen after he lost, and he had even thought about it for a few steps. The Residents of Nine Supremes would actually defeat him and ascend to the middle-class class, then compete with the sect that was eliminated from the middle-class class for the first place, and even had the idea of competing for the mid-class celestial luck banner 3 years later. He really had to say, martial nephew. Chu Xiaofang's eyes gleamed with curiosity. He spoke slowly, it has been so many years, this old man has been watching you since you were still wearing diapers, but I've never realized that you are actually such a strange flower that seizes the heaven and earth. Wei Tao blushed. Martial uncle. Chu Xiaofang coughed and said, if you were to play chess, you would definitely be invincible. Why you? You take 1 step and look 3 steps ahead, at least look 3 steps ahead. Wei Tao lowered his head. King old thing, I really don't want to talk to you. Your ability to insult others is the real strange flower in this world. Chapter 11-12. It was early in the morning again. All the sects with lower-class celestial luck banners had arriving exceptionally early. When the sky was still dark, they had already gone to their respective stands. This was the battle of the century that would decide the position of the chief disciple of lower-class celestial luck banners. Could Golden Cauldron sect, the veteran top sect, hold on to its dominant position? Could Residents of Nine Supremes, the rising star and new dark horse, continue its legend, break through the last barrier in one go and ascend to the top? Everyone was curious about the final result of this battle. In order to watch the final battle, the sects that had been defeated did not leave. Obviously, they all wanted to see Golden Cauldron sect's miserable state. Everyone knew this very well. Even Golden Cauldron sect, the veteran top sect, did not have much confidence in winning against Residents of Nine Supremes. They did not even have the confidence to maintain a tie. When they thought of this, all the sects that had been defeated before suddenly felt better. If even Golden Cauldron sect could not defeat Residents of Nine Supremes, it was not surprising that they had lost to Residents of Nine Supremes. It was a given. It was a given. As for Golden Cauldron sect, hasn't Golden Cauldron sect always been amazing? Haven't you always been high and mighty? At the beginning of this gathering, you revealed that you wanted to go further, challenge a higher level, and obtain a middle-class celestial luck banner? How are you now? Do you feel bad? Do you feel miserable? Do you feel awkward? Ha, who asked you to show off, to be arrogant, to disdain being associated with us? You deserve it. You deserve it. Hui Yunfeng had arrived early as well. His eyes were fixed on the celestial luck banner fluttering high in the sky above Residence of Nine Supremes' stand. His gaze was exceptionally complicated, and so was his heart. Residence of Nine Supremes, with the newly promoted lower-class celestial luck banner sect as its starting point, had marched forward bravely and killed its opponents all the way to this point, beginning to aspire to be the chief disciple of the lower-class celestial luck banner. I. Bet, sigh. I'm so stupid. Really, I'm not lying. Golden Cauldron sect had arrived as well. Wei Tao, the sect leader, had two big dark circles under his eyes. Coupled with his shiny bald head, he looked haggard and dispirited. When he looked at the Residence of Nine Supreme Celestial Luck banner, his gaze was also complicated and inexplicable. After a long time, the people from the Residence of Nine Supremes finally arrived. Sect Leader Wei, may I ask how you want to fight? Do you have any unique tactics? Asked Huiyunfeng. Wei Tao coughed as his face turned red. My side has decided to fight a battle of the pinnacle before we talk about the rest. One match? Huiyunfeng couldn't help but ask. Obviously, he didn't know what Wei Tao was talking about. Everyone else arranged for 5 matches. Why did you say something like that? Fight a pinnacle battle first. One match? Wei Tao's face was flushed red as he awkwardly said, we're planning to do it one match at a time. After the first match, we'll adjust. Other than that, there are no other special tactics. Huiyunfeng's eyes widened, and he seemed to have understood something. He nodded and said, then let's have a pinnacle battle first, and then we'll talk about the follow-up. He had really thought it through. With the Residence of Nine Supremes' current strength and the support of 4 Saint King mystical beasts, they were unbeatable in any battle. This pinnacle match should be the one that Golden Cauldron sect had planned. Only by winning this match would Golden Cauldron sect have the need to continue fighting and have the possibility of winning. If they lost this pinnacle match, they would not even need to fight the next 4 matches, they could just admit defeat. The first match is the pinnacle battle. Huiyunfeng's voice rang out. A lean old man slowly rose to his feet from the Golden Cauldron sect seat. He was Xiaofan, and he walked out slowly. Yunyang stared at the old man who was walking out with a vigilant look on his face. This old man is so strong. He's actually a rare pinnacle expert in this meeting. Moreover, as he walked out, the aura on his body continued to rise. Is he burning his life force? Yunyang frowned. He's burning his life force now? Is he planning to self-destruct? This old man's cultivation base is already extremely high. Is he a second-grade Saint King or higher? If he self-destructed with such a cultivation base, the power will be beyond imagination. Yunyang did not speak, and neither did Luo Dejiang and the others behind him. Although the people of Golden Cauldron sect were looking at Luo Dejiang now, Luo Dejiang knew very well that he was definitely not the number 1 expert of Residence of Nine Supremes. Whether it was Shi Wuchen, who had always shown weakness, or his boss, Yunyang, they were both stronger than him. He was just a cover, a smokescreen. In the pinnacle battle against the other sects, he would be the one to fight if there was any leeway. However, in today's battle, the slightest mistake could lead to a crushing defeat and affect the progress of Residence of Nine Supremes. Luo Dejiang knew that he could not afford to take such a risk. Even if his boss and his brothers did not say anything afterward, he would not be able to get over it. This old man is very strong. I'm afraid Dejiang can't handle him, Shi Wuchen said in a low voice. Yes. If it's a one-on-one fight, I probably can't beat him. Luo Dejiang's face was solemn. Even with the help of mystical beasts. Luo Dejiang's face darkened even further. If the old man self-destructs, I'm not sure I can get away with it. Yunyang smiled faintly. I'll fight this battle. At this moment, Shi Wuchen and Luo Dejiang both felt a sense of relief from the bottom of their hearts. Both of them really felt their bodies lighten up at this moment. How could Big Boss not win when he took action? The residence of 9 Supremes was a magical place. Even Shi Wuchen and the others, who were the first-generation elders of the residence of 9 Supremes, could still feel the endless mysteries at all times. The spiritual qi that was beyond their expectations, the rare ethereal amethysts, the miraculous pills that could enhance one's cultivation base, all of these were proof of how extraordinary the residence of 9 Supremes was. However, the most unfathomable person in the residence of 9 Supremes was none other than Yun Yang. Both Shi Wuchen and Luo Dejiang firmly knew that their boss had endless tricks up his sleeves. Endless trump cards. Enough to deal with any unfavorable situation. This understanding was different from the unreachable mountain that Shi Wuchen and the others had for Dong Qitian. Although Dong Qitian's ability was so powerful that it exceeded everyone's understanding, including Yun Yang's, he was still a top-notch expert, an otherworldly expert. Yun Yang, on the other hand, was unfathomable and unfathomable. It was a completely different sense of brilliance. Yun Yang stood up and chuckled. Since it's a battle of the pinnacle, I'm sure the other party has placed all his bets on this battle. Let me have a match with this senior then. Everyone was stunned when they heard this. You? The sect leader himself? But, the strongest expert that the residence of 9 Supremes had sent out earlier was clearly not you. This, however, everyone understood immediately. The residence of 9 Supremes had a backup plan. The true strongest expert of the residence of 9 Supremes was this sect leader, not anyone else. As they thought about it, everyone could not help but feel a chill run down their spines. Chapter 11-13. The residence of 9 Supremes had actually hidden itself so deeply that it had dug a huge pit for its opponents to jump into. No, it was clear that a few people had fallen into this pit one after another. They had been beaten black and blue, but they did not know it. It was only at this moment, when the residence of 9 Supremes revealed this trump card, that they truly understood that they had not lost unjustly. Hui Yunfeng's expression grew more complicated. At this moment, his desire to witness the birth of a legend had long flown away. F***ck. What a trap. If I continue to gamble, I might be tricked by him again. Yun Yang's purple robe fluttered as he descended leisurely. In particular, he was carrying a little fellow that looked like a fluffy ball of fur in his arms, which made him look like a handsome young man and a handsome young man. The little fellow, which was only the size of a fist and was meowing innocently with its eyes wide open, was so adorable that it could kill people. However, when everyone looked at the little fellow, there was only a chill in their hearts. What the F***ck? You are a high-level Saint King mystical beast. Is it really okay for you to act cute and confuse people like this every day? At this moment, Yun Yang had already walked to the center of the field. Chu Xiaofang's eyes were unusually cold. His attention was focused on Whitey in Yun Yang's arms, and he stared at it for a long time. Sect leader Yun, did you bring only one mystical beast for this battle? Chu Xiaofang asked. Yun Yang asked in pleasant surprise, is there no limit to the number of mystical beasts that can assist you in the battle? If there is no limit, I can summon a few more. I'm sure you will be satisfied. Chu Xiaofeng's face twitched a little as he said faintly, as far as this old man knows, high-level practitioners are not allowed to bring more than one mystical beast to the battle unless it is pre-arranged. Yun Yang was a little disappointed and said, oh, I was happy for nothing. Chu Xiaofeng, on the other hand, felt like vomiting blood. If you had brought your 4 Xian beasts, this old man wouldn't have fought with you. Chu Xiaofeng's words were true. Xiozha that were skilled in beast taming could control multiple Xian beasts, but high-level Xiozha would normally only control one high-level Xian beast. In other words, they would only control one high-level Xian beast of the same level as their own cultivation. The rest would rarely be higher-level Xian beasts. There was a limit to a person's strength. The amount of effort and energy that a beast-taming master had to expend to control a high-level Xian beast of similar strength was usually the limit. Any more would not be able to bear the burden. In other words, when people with high-tier subdued beasts fought against their enemies, it wasn't that they didn't want to summon more beasts. In reality, it was because they didn't have enough power to summon more beasts. In spite of this, Yun Yang's situation was different from that of an ordinary beast tamer. He was not controlling the 4 Saint King mystical beasts from the perspective of a beast tamer. One was lacking in power while the other had more than enough. How could they be compared? However, there was nothing Yun Yang could do when Chu Xiaofeng used this as an excuse. Sect leader Yun, please. Please. Big Whitey leaped out and howled, its body expanding abruptly. At the same time, Chu Xiaofeng's sword and Yun Yang's saber glowed brilliantly. As the saber and sword clashed, the air was filled with radiance. Once they clashed, both of them had chosen to clash head-on at the same time. This head-on clash was the usual practice in this Tianyun battleground. Due to the divine sense being shielded, no one knew the level of their opponent's ability. The main purpose of this head-on clash was to probe, to have a clearer understanding of the other's cultivation base. This clash was necessary. With a loud bang, Yun Yang was flung 70 feet away like a kite with a broken string. Chu Xiaofeng only swayed a little and took a small step back. In spite of this, it was obvious that Yun Yang's cultivation base was at least a notch lower than Chu Xiaofeng's. However, when Chu Xiaofeng focused on his saber again, his expression changed. His saber was wailing on its own, howling endlessly. On the originally snow-white blade, there was now a soybean-sized nick, which was exceptionally conspicuous. As the great elder of the Golden Cauldron sect, Chu Xiaofeng's status was almost higher than that of the Golden Cauldron sect's leader, Wei Tao. His resources and treatment were naturally the best in the Golden Cauldron sect. His saber was the product of thousands of years of nurturing with countless heaven and earth treasures and his own blood. He was confident that it was already an indestructible divine weapon. Who would have thought that his saber would be severely damaged when it clashed with his opponent's weapon? What material was his opponent's saber made of? How could it be so sharp? With such a divine weapon in his hands, his opponent's chances of winning this battle would inevitably be reduced, be it mentally or realistically. Sect leader Yun, what a fine saber. Chu Xiaofeng's expression was grim, his heart aching so much that it was about to bleed. Senior Chu, you flatter me. It's barely presentable. Chu Xiaofeng's thoughts spun rapidly. He clearly understood that it was actually more difficult to win this battle than he had expected. The main reason for the difficulty was not that unexpectedly sharp treasured saber, but Yun Yang himself. Through the previous clash, Chu Xiaofeng could feel at once that Yun Yang's cultivation base had broken through the first level of Saint King and reached the beginner level of second level Saint King. Although he was at the pinnacle of second level and was much stronger than Yun Yang, it was not a gap that could be easily overcome. If it was purely a one-on-one battle, he was confident that he could win, but that victory would be to exhaust Yun Yang to death with his thick mystical qi, and not to end the battle cleanly. Because Yun Yang still had an indestructible treasured saber in his hand, it caused the situation to become increasingly unbalanced. Two cultivators with similar cultivation base, each wielding a weapon that could decide the outcome of the battle. The current situation was as such: if he was not careful, he could be killed by that treasured saber. The scope of his carelessness was broad, not just Chu Xiaofeng himself, but also his saber. When he had clashed with Yun Yang earlier, his saber had already been chipped. If he were to come into contact with his opponent's saber, the sword would probably be destroyed immediately. However, the matter that he had intentionally avoided was definitely the direction that his opponent was working towards. This battle was really too restrictive for them. Combining the advantages and disadvantages of both sides, Chu Xiaofeng judged that even if it was a one-on-one battle, his chances of winning were only slightly more than 50%, which was only slightly higher than his opponent's. However, Yun Yang still had the assistance of a Saint King-level mystical beast. If the mystical beast was added to the battle, not only would the odds of winning be reversed, it would be more than 95% of the time. There was no chance of winning. The remaining 5% chance, which was also the only tactic in the plan, was to self-destruct. Chu Xiaofeng retreated slowly. Very good, very good. In the next moment, it was as if he had turned into a whirlwind, the layers of sword shadows turning into raging waves. Chapter 11-14. Yun Yang stood where he was calmly, his saber gleaming. The divine edge seemed to have come alive as it countered Chu Xiaofeng's attacks calmly. Big Whitey did not join in the fight yet, only standing behind Yun Yang. Obviously, now was not the time for Big Whitey to fight, or rather, Yun Yang had no intention of letting Big Whitey join the fight. Yun Yang's plan was straightforward. It was a rare opportunity to meet an opponent whose cultivation base was slightly higher than his and whose fighting spirit was so high that he was willing to die. If he did not fight to his heart's content, he would have missed the opportunity. Yun Yang's saber truth, Destiny Blade, was unleashed to its fullest at this moment. To a cultivator, it was rare to meet an opponent whose cultivation base was on par with theirs. They would give it their all and risk their lives, especially when they did not even have to worry about the biggest threat of death. How could they not make use of it? Yun Yang's cultivation base had improved too quickly recently. This was the perfect opportunity to train and integrate it. Chu Xiaofeng was like a giant hammer that could split the heavens, hammering down with the force of a thunderbolt. Yun Yang's saber truth, Destiny Blade, was unleashed in full force as he countered Chu Xiaofeng's attack. As time passed, Yun Yang was at a disadvantage most of the time, but it was not as if Yun Yang could not retaliate at all. Occasionally, he would counterattack and Chu Xiaofeng would have to change his move to avoid it immediately. After all, other than taking care of his sword, he had to avoid being injured as much as he could. To unleash the maximum power of self-detonation, he had to first ensure that his physical body was intact. A certain someone's shadow was not far off. If his body was not complete, the power of self-detonation would definitely be reduced. This was what he had to avoid now. For a moment, both of them were locked in a stalemate. Everyone was paying close attention to the battle. Chu Xiaofeng's sword was like a gale that swept the crescent moon, like a looming mountain pressing down on Yun Yang with the force of a thunderstorm. Chu Xiaofeng's sword light was everywhere, whether it was in the sky or on the ground. What the eyes could see was actually the sword light from 3 strikes ago. The sword light now had already formed and was hidden in a place where it could appear at any time. With a flash, a huge wave would rise. As the battle went on, Chu Xiaofeng's aura grew stronger and more ferocious, like waves crashing against the shore. In spite of this, Yun Yang was like a small boat amidst the raging waves in the vast ocean. He rose and fell with the wind and the waves, bobbing up and down without anyone noticing. Even when he occasionally surged to the top of the wave, he would immediately fall into the bottom of the wave, as if he could capsize at any time. However, this precarious situation did not worsen. It was an unstable state, but there was still a sense of security. As the battle, Chu Yun's attack, Chu Xiaofeng, Yang, and Yun, he, of Yang, he had he, God, he had he of Yang, he had with the Qi, Chu, Yang, and Yun, but Yang, and Yun, Yang, and Yang, he, Yun, he, the, and Yang, he, Yang, Yun, he, and, to, he. The situation was obviously disadvantageous to Yun Yang, but no matter how precarious the situation was, Yun Yang still tried his best, elevating his essence, qi, and spirit to their limits. Amidst the barrage of Chu Xiaofeng's sword light, he did not use the Nine Supreme's manifestation powers to counter it, only Saber Truth, Destiny Blade. Chu Xiaofeng's vision was unique. It had only been a short while since they had fought, but he had already determined that Yun Yang's marvelous saber skill was not something he could match up to. Its marvelous aspects were endless, and with his knowledge, it was difficult for him to reach its limits, let alone push it to its limits. As the thought flashed through his mind, he changed his attack again, turning it into a giant hammer that came crashing down from the heavens, hammering down on Yun Yang's skills. Man, you may have 1,000 tricks up your sleeve, but I have my own set of rules. If you have a marvelous skill, I will only counter it with brute force. My mystical chi cultivation base is higher than yours. Even if I were to use brute force, what could you do? The cultivators from various sects on the stage were shocked as they watched the intense battle unfold. It was the first time in many people's lives that they had seen a battle of this level. Although they were sincerely convinced and admired Chu Xiaofeng's strength, most of them had expected it. After all, Golden Cauldron sect had already announced their intention to challenge sects with middle-class celestial luck banners and go further. It would be unreasonable if the top expert of a sect did not have such strength, and it was just arrogance. However, residents of Nine Supreme Supremacy, Yun Yang, had held on for so long without the help of mystical beasts when facing Chu Xiaofeng, the top expert of Golden Cauldron sect. On top of that, he was still defending himself, which was even more remarkable. Standing on the stage, Hui Yunfeng watched the battle in a daze and said faintly, "Back then, when my cultivation base had reached the second grade of Saint King, if I had encountered an attack like Chu Xiaofeng's, I'm afraid I would have been completely defeated by now. But Yun Yang can still hold on, and he even has the strength to fight back occasionally. As long as the leader of residents of Nine Supremes doesn't die prematurely, his future will be limitless." Ding Byuk was calculating in his mind as he stared at the battlefield. His eyes did not blink for a long time before he said, "It's true that Chu Xiaofeng's attacks are like thunderbolts, unstoppable, but Yun Yang gives me a subtle feeling like a phoenix bathing in fire." Yu Bunning clapped his hands and said, "Yes, that's the feeling. It's like. At this point, Chu Shi could not think of a more accurate adjective even after racking his brain. Yun Yang is probably like a rare divine weapon that is being tempered, Hui Yunfeng said faintly. Chu Xiaofeng, on the other hand, is like a sledgehammer, removing the few impurities in the rare divine weapon bit by bit. Squeezing it out bit by bit, isn't it?" Yu Bunning slapped his thigh and said, "That's right." Hui Yunfeng sighed and said, "So, Yun Yang is using Chu Xiaofeng's attacks to sharpen his saber and break through his own limits. Yun Yang's biggest goal in this battle is to learn and temper himself, so naturally, he is doing everything he can to the best of his ability. However, Chu Xiaofeng's goal is to win the battle. The states of mind of these two combatants are completely different. Their hearts are different, and their paths are even more different. With the combat strength that Yun Yang has shown so far, if he really wants to end this battle, he only needs to let the mystical beasts charge forward and attack from both sides. Then, Chu Xiaofeng's current advantage will immediately disappear, and he will even have to make a prompt decision to self-detonate. Only then will there be a chance of a tie. But Yun Yang has never done so. Obviously, he wants to continue this tempering to the end. So, it's Chu Xiaofeng who is struggling to hold on now. Because if he self-detonate now, the mystical beasts will charge forward and Yun Yang will take a step back. The mystical beasts will die, but Yun Yang will be seriously injured at most, and he will still lose. So, Chu Xiaofeng is helpless now. He can only keep increasing his strength and wait for an opportunity, waiting for the moment when Yun Yang can't hold on anymore and the mystical beasts have to step forward. Genius. 1 second. Remember my address. Mobile version. Chapter 11:15. Hui Yunfeng sighed. In the past, it was always the people of the major sects who used the demiurge flawed 10, Wuxia, and the others to hone themselves, but now it's the top experts of the sects who are honing Wuxia and the others' loyalty. It's a bit of karma. Chu Xiaofeng knows that his opponent is using his strength to hone himself, but he can't stop. He can only use a stronger force to fight. He can't retreat, and he can't lose. Hui Yunfeng sighed. What's more, judging from the current situation, Chu Xiaofeng will probably have a hard time. His attacks seem calm, but in fact, he doesn't dare to use his weapon to fight the opponent's blade. Almost every time he attacks, he uses his powerful mystical qi to protect his weapon. In terms of mystical qi consumption, he's far more than his opponent. In the long run, even if no mystical beast joins the battle, Chu Xiaofeng may not be able to win. As it turned out, Hui Yunfeng, a veteran of the martial world, was very accurate. Yun Yang seemed to be at a disadvantage the whole time, but in fact, he was just using Chu Xiaofeng to hone himself. Chu Xiaofeng's heart grew colder as the battle went on. He had used all his trump cards and unleashed his mystical qi to the limit, but his opponent was like a candle flame in the wind, about to be extinguished at any time, but it was still burning after the gale passed by. If it was the gale that could not be withstood in the end, the result would be embarrassing. On the other hand, the mystical beast that made Chu Xiaofeng so vigilant only watched from the side, but did not really join the battle. What the hell is this? Are you here to put on airs by bringing a mystical beast? Or are you here to walk your cat? It's just a burst of aura at the beginning, a show of power, and that's it. Tell him to come up and fight, big brother. Can't you just let me end this battle quickly? Yun Yang was sweating profusely. He looked as miserable as he could be, but he was holding on. Holding on. When you think I'm going to fall for the 80th time, I'm still holding on. Chu Xiaofeng was burning with anxiety, but he dared not let his guard down. Seeing that Yun Yang was about to collapse, if he let his guard down and gave the other a chance to catch his breath, he would have to spend even more effort to recover. After the time it took to burn a stick of incense, Yun Yang was still wobbling, but he did not fall. Chu Xiaofeng gritted his teeth, his silhouette in the air coming to a sudden halt before he spat out a mouthful of blood. The sword in his hand suddenly exploded with a brilliant sword light. Originally, the sword projections were around 30 feet in length, and they were already extremely dazzling as they danced through the air. Now, each and every one of the sword projections had suddenly expanded to over 100 feet in length, and they were glowing with incandescent white light. Their might had reached unprecedented heights. The sound of wind and thunder became 3 to 4 times louder than before. Yun Yang felt the pressure mounting at once, gradually losing the ability to continue. Of course, Yun Yang was unwilling to give up. Saber Truth, Destiny Blade was channeled to its limit as if his life depended on it. For a moment, there were many brilliant techniques, but he could barely maintain it. The space in his safe zone was constantly squeezed and compressed. The situation was extremely precarious. It was not that Saber Truth, Destiny Blade was not powerful, it was that Yun Yang's cultivation base was a notch lower than his opponent's. In addition, Chu Xiaofeng had unleashed an arcane skill that greatly damaged his basic qi and forcefully channeled his mystical qi to unleash such terrifying power. Unless Yun Yang detonated his own limits and activated Saber Truth, Destiny Blade's ultimate killing technique, only then would he be able to turn the tables. However, this was not in line with his original plan. Yun Yang sighed softly. The battle was almost over. Chu Xiaofeng should have reached the final moment. Yun Yang's gaze flickered. If so, let's end this. Whitey! Yun Yang suddenly hollered. Dabai suddenly appeared at his summons. With a deafening howl, it charged towards Chu Xiaofeng. Tens of thousands of blade-like energies swept out in all directions. At the same time, Yun Yang's saber sliced through the air, the saber light glowing a strange purple as it slashed forward. His aura soared as he assumed a stance of charging forward with all his might. I've given you a chance. Don't blame me if you can't catch it. Chu Xiaofan bellowed, his body expanding rapidly. In a split second, he had expanded to the maximum limit that his physical body could bear. Then, with a loud boom, he exploded. Yunyang reacted swiftly, retreating like a comet. Together with Whitey, the man and the beast unleashed their maximum speed, fleeing as if their lives depended on it. As Yunyang retreated, the saber in his hand danced in the air, executing the 8 consecutive forms of saber truth, destiny blade all at once. The saber wind howled, forming a dense net of sabers that was hundreds of feet wide in front of him. This move was not meant to hurt the enemy, but to protect himself. A ferocious explosive force that had never been seen before surged towards him. The massive force of impact tore through Yun Yang's defensive net of sabers like a hot knife through butter as it charged towards him. The ferocious impact caused Yun Yang's vision to darken as his body was flung away like a kite with a broken string. As he bore the brunt of the impact, blood splattered all over his body. Whitey, who had been by Yun Yang's side, let out a cry as well. Its large body was flung away like a ball, its 2 front claws blasted off. The force of Chu Xiaofeng's self-destruction was earth-shattering. Even the spectator stands around the arena were overturned. Even Hui Yunfeng had only managed to save 4 sects by exerting his strength to resist it. The other sects had been flung to who knew where. Everyone was covered in dust, their faces filled with shock. A mushroom cloud soared into the sky, reaching thousands of feet into the sky. The sect leader of the Golden Cauldron sect, Wei Tao, widened his eyes as he stared at the thick smoke. His mouth was wide open and his 2 front teeth were already protruding out. At this moment, they were even more exposed, like fangs. Cough, comrades have teeth, he, I forgot to write it down. He knew clearly that his uncle master had self-destructed. However, the key point now was not Chu Xiaofeng's self-destruction, but the result of his self-destruction, whether Yun Yang was dead or not. If Yun Yang's self-destruction had been a shockwave, there would still be room for the battle to continue. However, if Yun Yang was not dead, it would mean that Chu Xiaofeng's self-destruction had been in vain, and it would also mean that the Golden Cauldron sect had lost the first round. There was no point in forcing themselves to continue. Although the other 2 Uncle Masters were also second-grade Saint Kings, their ultimate combat power was not as strong as Chu Xiaofeng's. On the other hand, Yun Yang's cultivation base was similar to Shi Wuchen and Luo Dajiang's. If Chu Xiaofeng's self-destruction failed to kill Yun Yang, the other 2 matches would most likely not be able to drag Shi Wuchen and Luo Dajiang to the next round. Even if they could successfully drag Shi Wuchen and Luo Dajiang to the next round, they would not be able to win the next 2 matches, be it the match between the disciples or the sect leaders. In that case, they had no chance of winning at all. There was really no point in continuing the battle. Smoke rose and gradually spread out. The people from the residence of 9 Supremes were naturally staring at the scene, anxiously waiting for the figure to reappear. After a short moment, a clear and melodious voice faintly sounded out from within the dust and dirt that covered the heavens and the earth. This is the most stressful battle of my life. It was Yun Yang's voice. Once he spoke, the outcome of the battle was decided. Chapter 11:16. We've won. After a moment of silence, a deafening cheer erupted from the residence of 9 Supreme spectator stand. The sound wave spread across the entire place, filled with boundless joy. After a while, the cloud of dust finally dissipated and Yun Yang reappeared. Yun Yang was still hugging a small white object. It was Big Whitey. Big Whitey had paid a huge price in the process of self-detonation just now. All 4 of its legs were blown away, while half of its eyes and ears were damaged. If it were not for the unlimited recovery ability in the 5th layered heaven, Yun Yang would probably die of heartache. Even though he knew that the special ability of the dojo would take effect immediately and return to its original state, Yun Yang's heart still raced as he looked at Big Whitey in agony. Big Whitey's injuries were severe, but Yun Yang's condition was not much better. His usually elegant purple robe was now soaked in blood. Many wounds on his body were still spilling blood, one of his arms was missing, and one of his legs was missing as well, exposing his white bone. With Yun Yang's ability, if he had used his manifestation powers to deal with the explosion just now, he could have turned into the wind and clouds in an instant and neutralized the terrifying force. Nothing would have happened. However, the manifestation supernatural power was his greatest trump card, and it was a trump card that he had never revealed in front of others. Since his life was not in danger, and he could recover infinitely later, there was really no meaning in revealing the manifestation supernatural power. The disadvantages were greater than the advantages, and there was no point in doing so. Besides, there were other effects if he looked a little more miserable now. At least, it could make the people from Golden Cauldron sect feel better. Of course, Yun Yang was only thinking of his opponent. He did not consider confusing his opponent. Cough. The moment Yun Yang's faint voice rang, Wei Tao, the sect leader of Golden Cauldron sect, slumped to the ground. His body and mind were dejected and dispirited, and there was only one thing left in his mind: would the residents of Nine Supremes continue to challenge the sects with lower-class celestial luck banners? Would they be able to take down one of the sects with the original middle-class celestial luck banners? If they could, the Golden Cauldron sect could seize the opportunity to challenge them and possibly keep their position as the top disciple of the lower-class celestial luck banner. But if he couldn't? The Golden Cauldron sect had been the leader of the lower class for so many years. If they were to suddenly become second place, that would be really embarrassing. I can't be dispirited now. I need to think about it and come up with a plan on how to deal with that sect that has been defeated. You must continue to challenge the residents of Nine Supremes and take down a sect with a middle-class celestial luck banner. I have high hopes for you. Really? Otherwise, you'll have to press on top of me and make me the second. I can't afford to lose that face. Oh my God. Residents of Nine Supremes wins. Hui Yunfeng did not know how many times he had sighed. Witnessing the birth of a legend with his own eyes was something to be happy about, especially when this legend was born under his supervision. However, for Hui Yunfeng, he would be happier and have no regrets if he didn't lose so many supreme-grade spiritual jades. With a flash of light, Yun Yang and Big Whitey were fully recovered. Big White meowed as it realized that its body was completely unscathed in that instant. It stuck out its tongue and licked its body to confirm the truth. On the opposite side, Chu Xiaofan stood desolately. Looking at Yun Yang, he said with great disappointment, "Are you all right, sect leader Yun?" Yun Yang smiled. "I'm lucky that I wasn't killed by your desperate strike. But I'm only left with one breath. This is one of the few major injuries I've suffered since I entered the Tao." Chu Xiaofang said with discomfort, "If I'm still alive, then residents of Nine Supremes has won." Yun Yang bowed. "Thank you for letting me win. There's no such thing as letting you win with your own strength." Chu Xiaofeng sighed sadly. "Congratulations." "Thank you." On the high platform, Wei Tao stuck out his big belly. His pointy head blinked twice as he said, "The Golden Cauldron sect will give up the remaining matches." The crowd burst into an uproar when they heard Wei Tao admit defeat. It was obvious that the major sects could not believe the Golden Cauldron sect's decision. After all, the Pavilion of Earth, which was originally ranked second yesterday, had fought for 5 rounds before being defeated. Yet, the Golden Cauldron sect, who claimed to want to advance further, had given up the remaining matches after only 1 round. However, when the crowd thought about it carefully, they felt that the Golden Cauldron sect's decision was reasonable. The Pavilion of Earth was famous for its defense. It prioritized defense in every battle and used defense as its offense, refusing to give up and fighting residents of Nine Supremes. On the one hand, it wanted to take a chance, and on the other, it was also to verify its strength and test its shortcomings in actual combat. It was understandable that the Pavilion of Earth's strength would certainly advance further after that match. On the other hand, the Golden Cauldron sect, who felt that its strength had reached its peak, had already sent out its strongest fighting force to fight residents of Nine Supremes in the first round. However, the few mystical beasts of residents of Nine Supremes were powerful killing machines. Even Xiaofan could not do anything to them even if he tried his best to blow himself up, let alone the others. Admitting defeat was also the best thing to do in a desperate situation. Residents of Nine Supremes is the top disciple of the lower-class celestial luck banner. When Hui Yunfeng said this, he felt an indescribable feeling in his heart. It was sour, sweet, bitter, and spicy. I'm so stupid, really. Among the 9 sects present, other than the residents of Nine Supremes, the other 8 sects were all speechless, unable to utter a word for a long time. In just a few days, the residents of Nine Supremes, a small sect that had just been established, had become the top disciple of a lower-class celestial luck banner sect. Although everyone's celestial luck banner was the same and there was no difference between the first and the 9th place, it meant that the sect's strength was extraordinary. The status of the top 3 was very different from that of the middle class and the bottom 3. The top disciple of a lower-class celestial luck banner was also the position closest to the middle-class celestial luck banner and qualified to advance further. This position, which originally belonged to the Golden Cauldron sect, which was confident that it could climb to the middle-class celestial luck banner, was now occupied by the latecomer of residents of Nine Supremes. Sect leader Yun, Hui Yunfeng said with a smile, "I wonder what your next plan is, sect leader Yun?" The meaning of his question was obvious. Everyone's ears perked up, especially the Golden Cauldron sect. It was especially so for the Golden Cauldron sect. Almost everyone's ears were pricked up. Sect leader Wei Tao's ears instantly widened. His beady eyes were glued to Yun Yang's mouth. "Master Yun, Grandpa Yun, please don't stop just like that. You must move forward bravely. You must rush. I'm kowtowing to you in my heart." Genius 1 second. Remember site address. Mobile version, M. Chapter 11-17. Yun Yang smiled, caressing Whitey in his arms in a carefree manner and said, "Before coming here, we didn't have much ambition. We just wanted to take it one step at a time and try our best to get there. We didn't mean to ask for too much. Now, thanks to our friends from other sects, residents of Nine Supremes is now standing at the top of the lower-class celestial luck banners. However, we, who are already here, still feel that we have strength to spare. Since our initial plan was to try our best, it would be going against our original intention if we don't try our best. It's such a pity." Everyone's expression turned even more complicated when they heard this. All along the way, they had been thinking of competing with the other party, but the other party was about to break through to the middle-class class. Perhaps they would not be at the same level in the future and would never see each other again. How could they compete? Only Wei Tao, the Golden Cauldron sect's leader, relaxed and could not help but laugh. "Sect leader Yun, your residence's challenge this time will definitely be a success. I wish sect leader Yun a bright future and hope to become the top of the middle-class celestial luck banners soon." Yun Yang rolled his eyes. Become the top of the middle-class celestial luck banners? Yun Yang had never even thought of this possibility. "How dare you, Wei Tao, say it." He did not know that Wei Tao's words were from the bottom of his heart. First, if residents of Nine Supremes could successfully ascend to the middle-class celestial luck banners, it would mean that the lower-class celestial luck banners' last place would fall to the lower-class celestial luck banners again. Secondly, if residents of 9 Supremes did not just win once but managed to ascend 2 or 3 places, the last place among the middle-class celestial luck banners would not be residents of 9 Supremes. 3 years later, Golden Cauldron sect would once again have the chance to challenge the lower-class celestial luck banners. From Wei Tao's perspective, the smoother residents of 9 Supremes battles with the middle-class celestial luck banners went, the better it would be, and the more they advanced, the better. The greater the advancement, the better. It meant that the residents of 9 Supremes' ability was superior among the middle-class sects, and it was not that the lower-class sects were too weak. At the same time, it would give him room to challenge the middle-class sects in the future. After all, everyone in the Golden Cauldron sect was afraid of the residents of 9 Supremes. At least in the short term, they did not want to face them again. Yun Yang turned to Hui Yunfeng and said, "Residents of 9 Supremes feels that we still have strength to spare, so we've decided to continue to challenge the higher-class celestial luck banners." Hui Yunfeng nodded. "All right. I'll leave 2 brothers here to take care of the follow-up matters here at the lower ranks. I'll personally send you up." He looked at the scene and said, "If there's nothing else, why don't you disperse now?" If the Golden Cauldron sect and the other sects dispersed now, the 3 brothers could go to the 3rd heaven together and watch the fierce fight between the middle-class sections. After all, in Hui Yunfeng's opinion, there should be nothing else to do here. Wei Tao shook his head, his small eyes gleaming. Shaking his big belly, he bared his teeth and said loudly, "Lord Deacon, the Golden Cauldron sect wants to wait for the result of the residents of 9 Supremes' challenge of the middle-class celestial luck banners. If the residents of 9 Supremes achieves another good result, the Golden Cauldron sect will be able to stabilize its position as the chief of the lower-class sects again." Hui Yunfeng's head swelled. "You've just lost, and you still want to continue?" Wei Tao chuckled and said, "Although the Golden Cauldron sect was defeated by the residents of 9 Supremes, we are convinced of our defeat and believe that the residents of 9 Supremes will not stop here. When the residents of 9 Supremes goes to challenge the middle-class sects, we can just wait here. If the residents of 9 Supremes succeeds, according to the convention, the sect that originally occupied the last place of the middle-class celestial luck banners will drop and become the first place of the lower-class sections. All the lower-class sects have the chance to challenge this school. Although we're no match for the residents of 9 Supremes, the school that falls is not the residents of 9 Supremes. We might be able to shake it." The corners of everyone's mouth twitched when they heard this. They didn't know what to say. In an instant, 10,000 divine beasts roared and galloped in everyone's heart. "Golden Cauldron sect, you guys, can be even more shameless, even if your thoughts and actions are reasonable and effective, at this critical juncture, it's very, very inappropriate, okay? After this battle. It's embarrassing enough that all the sects with lower-class celestial luck banners have won. Let us go home now. If your Golden Cauldron sect doesn't leave, you still have the space to fight for benefits. However, we will have to wait here with you. Does your Golden Cauldron sect still have a conscience? We are just waiting here, we are just waiting. We have nothing to say." Nevertheless, the entire Golden Cauldron sect would certainly not care about these trivial matters. Although all the Golden Cauldron sect disciples lowered their heads in shame at their leader's shameless argument, their eyes were shining brightly. Their leader was right. Since we have hope, why should we give up? We can't defeat the residents of 9 Supremes, but can we defeat others? We'll wait and see. Since we still have the chance to take back the position of the chief disciple of the lower-class celestial luck banner, why don't we give it a try? It's your business to admit defeat, pack up and leave, but we're not. If we can take back the position of the chief disciple, we still have the possibility to ascend to the celestial luck banner 3 years later. As long as we don't go against the residents of 9 Supremes, we'll be fine. This is our Golden Cauldron sect's infinite confidence. It must be said that the same kind of sect leader brought out the same kind of disciples. The disciples of Golden Cauldron sect are as thick-skinned as their sect leader. What was that? Ding Byuk and Yu Bunning were also glaring angrily at the Golden Cauldron sect. F***ck, you're delaying us from going up to watch the show. Do you know that? Hui Yunfeng came up to them and said with a chuckle, "Brothers, let's discuss something." Ding Byuk and Yu Bunning's faces darkened. "Here it comes. We don't want to discuss it with you." The residents of Nine Supremes rose to their feet. Following Hui Yunfeng, they walked into the thick fog. Wherever they passed, the celestial luck banner that belonged to the residents of Nine Supremes fluttered, revealing an upward passage. The eyes of the sects behind them were filled with complicated emotions as they watched the residents of Nine Supremes leave. The other party was just a newly established sect, so how could they rush up to the front? We're still making no progress. The gap between us is really unreasonable. They're just opportunistic. Maybe they'll be killed as soon as they go up. Someone was muttering. That's right. How can a sect with a middle-class celestial luck banner be so easy to challenge? There's certainly no match for them. They'll definitely come back with their tails between their legs later. Their luck might be completely used up on our side. Who knows, they might even be wiped out by the enemy. If they can really rush up, I'll eat shit for a month. Let's bet if you don't believe me. Golden Cauldron sect's Wei Tao was enraged. You. What right do you have to be jealous of him? Cursing him. You guys are simply jealous of the talented. Can't you all learn from us? The residents of Nine Supremes has just defeated us, but we're already so magnanimous. We even bless them. Our manners. Our self-restraint. Genius 1 second remember site address. Mobile version, M. Chapter 11:18. The people around him sneered. We're jealous of the talented? Aren't you just waiting for them to win so you can grab the first place? You make it sound like you're so benevolent and righteous, but in the end, you have your own little plan. Although the comments behind him were getting further and further away, Yun Yang could still vaguely hear them. However, how could he not care about their envy, jealousy, and hatred? He walked forward with a calm face. Next, Shi Wuchen strode forward with his head held high, his face expressionless. Meanwhile, Tai Qingcang and the others were talking to their disciples. There's no need to care about this. This is how the world has always been. You've succeeded, and you've done it in a way that surpasses others, so you're bound to attract a lot of envy, jealousy, and hatred. Especially those who have been surpassed by us. This is unavoidable. What you need to do is to leave behind these people who say such things behind as fast as possible. The faster, the better. The further, the better. They will never appear in your sight again. As long as such people appear, work hard to improve yourself and leave them far behind. If such people appear in the new level, continue to work hard and leave them behind. Yes, Master. Hui Yunfeng walked in front, listening to the people of residents of Nine Supremes teach their disciples. His mind was filled with thoughts and thoughts. The words of residents of Nine Supremes were wise and thought-provoking. Just by looking at the expressions on the faces of these little fellows, one would know that these words were absolutely effective, and it was as if they were suddenly enlightened. Sect leader Yun, has residents of Nine Supremes always taught its disciples like this? Yes, it's just a humble opinion. Just say it when you think of it. Don't forget it later. The rise of residents of Nine Supremes today is indeed not a day's work, you flatter me, Deacon Hua. Residents of Nine Supremes has just been established. It's hard to fall when you praise it too highly. Sect leader Yun, you're too humble. It's fate that we meet today. If you have time in the future, you might as well come to Sacred Heart Palace. Of course I'll have to bother you. Well, I haven't made many friends in my life, but sect leader Yun is a friend of mine despite the age gap. I'm very happy to meet you. You flatter me, Deacon Hua. Hey, little friend Yun, you and I hit it off right from the start. Yun Yang and Deacon Hua grew closer and closer as they conversed. In the end, it was as if they were old friends. Sure, Wuchen and the others pretended that they were mute and followed behind, watching and listening. With Yun Yang's current status, how was it possible for him to be friends with the Sacred Heart Palace's deacon? Their statuses were far from each other. However, Hui Yunfeng insisted on saying so. Obviously, he had taken a fancy to the residents of Nine Supreme's development potential and had taken the initiative to form a good relationship with it. It was obvious that he had acknowledged the residents of Nine Supreme's speed of growth. Since the other party wanted to build a good relationship, Yun Yang would not reject it. As the conversation continued, Yun Yang became more receptive. Big brother Hua, I don't even know how to understand the strength of a sect with a middle-class celestial luck banner. Please enlighten me, big brother Hua. I'm not afraid to laugh at you, but I'm also confused about the last sect with a middle-class celestial luck banner. It's only because Golden Cauldron sect wants to go further that I'm motivated to go further. It's really a lucky shot, not because I've planned it in advance. Hui Yunfeng narrowed his eyes and smiled. This little brother Yun Yang is quite tactful. You're too polite, little friend Yun. I won't tell you about these things. You'll know it when you go up there, so I won't be able to enlighten you. Hui Yunfeng first found a dignified excuse for himself. Yun Yang nodded in agreement. But how could Yun Yang not know that there was a huge difference between knowing it one step earlier and one step later? If he knew it now, he would be able to respond earlier. Only then would he know that he would inevitably fall into a passive position. One would take advantage of the situation, while the other would try his best to deal with it. The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. The last sect with a middle-class celestial luck banner is called Seven Stars Sect. Coincidentally, the Seven Stars Sect does have some similarities with your residents of Nine Supremes. For example, the Seven Stars Sect has 7 peaks arranged according to the Big Dipper, and each of the 7 peaks has a peak master. In other words, the Seven Stars Sect has at least 7 Saint King experts. However, these 7 people are not the real experts at the pinnacle of the Seven Stars Sect. As far as I know, there are at least 2 people with even higher seniority than these 7 peak masters. Even further up, there are 2 seniors of even higher seniority who are still alive. And this is only the battle strength displayed on the surface. Little friend Yun is gifted and has reached the current realm at such a young age, which is naturally rare and commendable. However, it will take at least 100 years for cultivators who are slightly less gifted to climb up to the Saint realm or even the level above it. Based on this, if we calculate the lifespan of high-level martial artists, how long will it take for them to reach the level of the Seven Stars Sect's management? As for the seniors who are 2 or 3 generations above them, how high would their cultivation base be? These are all things that little friend Yun needs to consider carefully. In all fairness, although the current combat strength of the residents of Nine Supremes is extraordinary, it is still far inferior to the Seven Stars Sect. It is even inferior to the Golden Cauldron Sect. Perhaps you really have to thank Beast Trainer Sect. Beast Trainer Sect's unscrupulous methods have let you know that you can bring mystical beasts into the arena. This has undoubtedly doubled your comprehensive combat strength at least, Hui Yunfeng said lightly. Hui Yunfeng casually said, but if you only rely on this advantage, you won't have much of a chance against the Seven Stars Sect. At least, you won't be as confident of victory as you were before. I speculate that the strongest expert of the Seven Stars Sect should have the strength of a 3rd-grade Saint King. Hui Yunfeng looked at Yun Yang and said word by word, and, there is a great chance that he is a 3rd-grade pinnacle expert. He is only 1 step away from entering the 4th grade. Yun Yang frowned and said, please give me some advice, Brother Hua. Hui Yunfeng smiled and stroked his beard. This was a favor that Yun Yang had given him. As long as he gave an explanation, he would be considered to have formed a good relationship with the residents of 9 Supremes. After all, it was not an ordinary explanation, and it would directly affect the outcome of the battle. Judging from Yun Yang's approach, it was obvious that he really intended to make friends with him. Otherwise, he would not have given it to him so casually. Let me think about it, Hui Yunfeng said. We're still on the road, so it's not against the rules to tell you something. But once we go up there, I can't say anything, not even a word more. Thank you, Brother Hua. Yun Yang said gratefully. The residents of 9 Supremes will forever remember Brother Hua's help today. We dare not forget it for even a day. Hui Yunfeng smiled with satisfaction. When you face the 7 Stars sect, you need to consider the deployment of high-end combat strength, such as the Battle of Backbone, the Battle of Sect Leaders, the Battle of the Peak, and the Battle of Free Will. As for the Battle of Disciples and the Battle of Formations, you still have the help of Saint King mystical beasts, so you will still win. Chapter 11-19. But if you want to win all the matches, your chances are slim, or perhaps I should say, impossible. Hui Yunfeng reminded him softly. In fact, when you come to the middle-class Celestial Luck Banner sect, you only need to win once, that is, 3 matches, and you will win. There's no need to pursue too much. Yun Yang nodded and asked, Brother Hua, apart from the fact that the 7 Stars sect's high-end combat strength is far superior to ours, is there anything else we need to pay attention to? Hui Yunfeng smiled and said, Of course there is, but your residents of 9 Supremes has an advantage in their most eye-catching aspect. Oh, why do you say so, Brother Hua? Yun Yang asked in surprise. Hui Yunfeng smiled and said, Speaking of which, the 7 Stars sect has been able to stand at the bottom of the middle-class Celestial Luck Banner sects for so many years not only because of their outstanding strength, but also because their sect's cornerstone formation, the 7 Stars Assembly. This formation has always been known to be invincible among the middle-class Celestial Luck Banner sects, and it's quite similar to the Thousand Mountains sect you've faced before. The advantage I'm talking about is that the 7 Stars sect doesn't know your background, and the 7 Stars Assembly is a great weapon that they have never lost to. In a battle where they don't know your strength, they will definitely use the 7 Stars Assembly formation. So, of course, you'll win the match. After this match, you still need to win 2 more matches. In my opinion, it's very likely that they'll send their disciples to fight because their disciples are undoubtedly stronger than yours in terms of cultivation base. They're also older and more experienced. Their temperaments are also extraordinarily tough. On the other hand, your senior executives, including the Demiurge Flawed 10, are people who have experienced many hardships and are indomitable. Instead, it's possible that they'll fail miserably in an easy task. So, they won't choose to take risks and will prioritize the safest strategy and tactics, and the match of disciples is undoubtedly their first choice. But there's another key to this, and that's the order. Well, it's actually the trump card of residents of 9 Supremes, the mystical beasts. For example, if the other side loses in the match of disciples, they will definitely be alarmed and adjust the follow-up. So, try not to expose the trump card of mystical beasts when you can. Once it's exposed, your original advantage will be gone, and your odds of winning will be greatly reduced. Hui Yunfeng's voice was very heavy. Yun Yang frowned, deep in thought. If he didn't use his Xian beasts, then he would have to rely on his own strength to fight 1 or 2 battles. Moreover, he would have to win at least 1 battle. This doesn't seem too good. After listening to Hui Yunfeng's shallow definition of the strength of the 7 Stars sect and all the sects with middle-class celestial luck banners, it almost overturned Yun Yang's previous understanding of these sections. He hesitated and found it hard to make a decision. Also, the 7 Stars sect has been in the middle rank for a long time, so I think it's very likely that they won't immediately propose a disciple fight or a group fight. Because they need to intimidate you from the root. In order to achieve this, it was necessary to send out a high-ranked combat strength at the first instance. This was the only way to ensure that the deterrent effect would be achieved, and this kind of strategy was either a mid-tier battle or a pinnacle battle. It must be one of the two. Yunyang nodded slowly. That makes sense. In the current situation, no matter if it's the battle of the peak, the battle of the sect leader, or the battle of the backbone, as long as you can win one of the battles, then use the battle of formations to win. In addition to the battle of the disciples, send out the Xian beasts to catch them off guard, and win 2 out of 3 battles. Hui Yunfeng said, apart from that, it's hard to find another chance to win. However, this is just my wishful thinking, and it's hard to say for sure. What happens after that still depends on your luck. If we're lucky and the opponent arranges their forces according to our speculation, residents of 9 Supremes will naturally have a great chance of winning. If not, then, it's hard to say the result. Hui Yunfeng did not lower his voice, so everyone from residents of 9 Supremes heard him. Everyone fell silent. The fact that the 7 Stars sect, which Golden Cauldron sect thought was in the bag, was so difficult to deal with was obviously beyond everyone's expectation. Yunyang frowned and pondered, his eyes flickering with uncertainty. It's too passive and too illusory to expect the 7 Stars sect to arrange their forces like this, but we can create a certain illusion to lure them to do as we expect. Now that we know their strengths and weaknesses, if we can't make use of them, we'll miss the opportunity for nothing. Let me think. What can I do to make the 7 Stars sect arrange their forces according to my idea? This is a big problem. No, at least not for Yunyang. But no matter what, this battle is not so simple. Hui Yunfeng said with a smile, as for Green Dragon Hall, which ranks 8th among the middle-class celestial luck banners, I suggest you don't challenge them for the time being, at least not this time. With your current victory, defeating the 7 Stars sect is basically your limit. You'd better choose to gain a firm foothold in the middle-class celestial luck banners first. The 7 Stars sect is really just the weakest sect among the middle-class celestial luck banners. After saying that, Hui Yunfeng gave Yunyang a meaningful look. Yunyang nodded and said respectfully, "Thank you for your advice, Brother Hua. It's indeed a little rash for me to climb to the top and challenge again this time. I was probably stimulated by Golden Cauldron sect's intention to challenge a higher level, so I'm eager for quick success. I didn't know that the strength of a middle-class celestial luck banner sect is so strong. If I can defeat the 7 Stars sect by luck, it will be the biggest advantage, so I don't dare to be greedy anymore. Besides, the ranking of the middle-class celestial luck banner sect doesn't make much difference to me. If I can't be promoted to the top disciple or even the top class in one go, 2nd or 9th is nothing more than a title." Cough, cough, Hui Yunfeng coughed violently. When he heard the first half of Yunyang's words, he felt gratified that the young man was teachable, but the more he listened, the more he felt something was wrong. That's not what I meant. This sect leader of the residents of 9 Supremes is actually so ambitious. He actually thinks that as long as he challenges them, he must challenge from the bottom to the top, or he might as well not challenge them at all. What kind of logic is this? What kind of confidence does he have? Who gave you the courage to say that? Does he really think that you are the protagonist in a novel, who will fight wherever you point and is invincible? But when he thought about it again and recalled the scene of the residents of 9 Supremes challenging the lower-class celestial luck banner, Hui Yunfeng could not help grumbling in his heart, if we rush to the middle-class celestial luck banner and get the blessing of the banner, will this residents of 9 Supremes make great progress in 3 years? Will it really become the top disciple of the middle-class celestial luck banner, or even the supreme-class celestial luck banner? Chapter 1120. Hui Yunfeng thought about it again. Although it was almost impossible when one thought about it carefully, there was still a chance. The Celestial Luck Banner had just been established not long ago, yet a young man of just 20, the infamous Demiurge Flawed 10, and a bunch of kids were already pointing at them as the first seat of a lower-class Celestial Luck Banner. Who knew if there would be an even greater surprise 3 years later? It was also because he had taken a fancy to their providence that he was so kind to them. As he thought about it, Hui Yunfeng could not help but say, "Young friend Yun, could there be some misunderstanding? Do you really think it is as easy as rising to the top of the lower-class Celestial Luck Banner? Perhaps it is because you are strong enough that you have neglected the fact that there is a great difference in the strength of sects with lower-class Celestial Luck Banners, and it is even more so between sects with middle-class Celestial Luck Banners. There is often a great gap between a single rank, and the gap between the two is as wide as heaven and earth, so you must not take it lightly. The advancement of middle-class Celestial Luck Banners is not as easy as the progress of your class. The luck of the mystical beasts assisting you can only be used after the battle with the 7 Stars sect is over at most. If you use it after that, it may become the main reason for your own defeat." Hui Yunfeng said seriously. "Yes, I fully understand this point. Thank you again for your teachings, Big Brother Hua." Yun Yang's face was full of humility as he accepted the advice humbly and said, "Big Brother Hua, have we arrived?" Everyone turned to look and saw a door in front of them. After stepping up a step, they entered the door. From a distance, they saw another platform, and its structure was exactly the same as the second level. After stepping up, he found that it was like going back in time. Wasn't this the scene when he had just stepped onto the second level? He did not know if it was to confirm his thoughts, but what he saw in front of him was a high platform, and on it was the golden Celestial Luck Banner of the Sacred Heart Palace. On both sides of the platform were 5 sects, and on the other side were 4. Everything he saw was exactly the same as before, except that the sects were different. Well, there was one thing different from before, and it was that almost no one was paying attention to the arrival of their own sect. Because shockingly, there were 2 people fighting in the battlefield. The 2 of them were fighting with great momentum. Basically, everyone was paying attention to this fierce battle. Naturally, no one noticed that at this time, there were actually other sects coming up. Before everyone had time to speak, Jiang Luoluo suddenly exclaimed in shock, "That's Senior Brother Qi, why, is it, our Phoenix Cry sect is having a promotion battle." Yun Yang and Luo Dajiang's spirits were lifted when they heard that, and they looked over. In the field, a tall and slender young man wielding a long sword waved it to his heart's content. Tens of thousands of silver lights moved with the sword, advancing and retreating in a controlled manner. His movements were orderly, and his movements were as he wished. It was like a phoenix was spreading its wings and flying, and its surroundings were filled with heavenly light and flowing flames. The opponent he was facing at this moment was a white-clothed young man with a slender and flexible sword in his hand. His moves were filled with ease and calmness. Judging from the situation of the battle, the 2 men were evenly matched, and it seemed that there was still a chance for them to fight. At least, so far, neither of them looked flustered, and there were no beads of sweat on their faces. Obviously, the battle had just begun. "Wait here for a moment," Hui Yunfeng said. "I have to go and hand over the matter with the host here." With that said, he flew up into the air and flew toward the high platform directly opposite him. Yun Yang watched as Hui Yunfeng flew away. With just a glance, he was already shocked. He saw that Hui Yunfeng's movements were like a ghost. He had clearly passed directly through the battlefield, but the 2 men in the battle did not notice him at all. Even the countless people from various sects who were watching could not see through his movements and stop. Yun Yang had experienced the battle of ascending the low-class Celestial Luck Banner and won successive victories. Although he was not arrogant and complacent, he was still in high spirits. Although he had agreed to Hui Yunfeng's advice, he had made up his mind to see the 7 Stars sect's true strength first before making a conclusion. How could he be so sure that his true strength was not as good as the 7 Stars sect from the very beginning? But now, when he saw Hui Yunfeng's superb movement technique, he was inexplicably shocked. He sighed inwardly and thought that he had won successive battles, but in the end, he had been too careless and underestimated the heroes of the world. He must deal with the battle of the 7 Stars sect with all his strength later and must not be careless or negligent. On the high platform, a man dressed in clothes similar to Hui Yunfeng laughed and said, "Brother Hua. Why do you have time to come here? What a rare guest." Hui Yunfeng smiled and said, "Long time no see, Brother Pu. How have you been?" The bearded man scolded with a smile, "You've been carrying me for a long time. Damn it. You just drank wine half a month ago." The 2 men sitting on either side of Brother Pu also laughed. Hui Yunfeng chuckled and said, "As the saying goes, a day apart is like 3 autumns. For me, half a month is almost like not seeing each other for 40 to 50 years. How can I not miss you?" Brother Pu laughed angrily and said, "Bullshit. You black-hearted old bastard. You say you miss me, but you're actually thinking about my supreme-grade spirit jades, aren't you? Half a month ago, you just won $20 from me last time. My heart ached so much that I couldn't sleep for half a month." Hui Yunfeng laughed and said, "I'm here this time to give Brother Pu a chance to win back your losses." Brother Pu's name was Pu Deshuang. His heart skipped a beat when he heard that, and he asked in a deep voice, "What do you mean?" Hui Yunfeng chuckled, pointed at the opposite side, and said, "It's my turn to preside over the low-grade celestial luck banners. The chief sect over their plans to go one step further and wants to challenge the middle-grade celestial luck banners. Isn't this a good opportunity?" Pu Deshuang was displeased and said angrily, "Do you think I'm stupid? How many low-grade sects have succeeded in challenging the middle-grade sects over the years? Tell me. You actually used this to trick me into falling into your trap. You actually dared to shamelessly say that the opportunity to make a comeback has come. I won't fall for your evil trick. I can't believe you're using this to deceive me, and even said that the chance to win back my losses has come. I'm not going to fall for your wicked trick." Hui Yunfeng said unhappily, "Pu Deshuang, your words are always as vulgar as your name. The most important thing in gambling is fairness. I didn't specify which sect you have to bet on, so how is that deceiving you? My way of gambling is to let you bet on one side first and leave the other side to me. Isn't that fair enough?" Pu Deshuang folded his arms and looked at Hui Yunfeng suspiciously. "How can a black-hearted ghost like you be so kind? You want to make a fair bet? I have a feeling that you've dug a pit and are waiting for me to jump into it. There must be a reason behind this, right?" Hui Yunfeng chuckled. "There's no other reason. By the way, I'll let you pick whichever side you like first, but I have to decide the odds. I can't let you take all the advantages, can I?" Pu Deshuang was stunned for a moment, and then he said, "If that's all, it's really fair. Are you really willing to bet like this?" Hui Yunfeng rolled his eyes and said, "Are you done yet? Can't you just tell me if you want to bet or not? You can play if you want to or not. I'm already so old, and I'm just playing with you for fun. Look at your bum face. If you don't want to play, then forget it. Anyway, they're already here, so hurry up and host the follow-up. I'll go to the side and watch the fun. I'm sick of looking at your tired face." As he spoke, he sat down with a smile. Pu Deshuang immediately looked a little embarrassed, but he was still a little hesitant. He said suspiciously, "It's not that I don't want to play. It's mainly because you're not trustworthy." He scratched his head with a bitter look on his face. "I've already lost 80 yuan from the 3 of us just now, so I'm really running out of money." Hui Yunfeng chuckled and said, "Forget it, then. Is the battle between the Phoenix Cry sect and the Daluo sect? That's right, Pu Deshuang said. The General Commerce Alliance, which originally ranked first, has gone to the upper grade side to fight, while the Phoenix Cry sect, which originally ranked third, has been tempted to replace the second-ranked Daluo sect and ascend to the chief position. Pu Deshuang thought for a moment and said, well, it seems that the Phoenix Cry sect is very optimistic about the General Commerce Alliance. They are looking forward to the General Commerce Alliance knocking down one of the upper-grade celestial luck banners, and then they will follow up their victory. Pu Deshuang was taken aback. I've known that you're a black-hearted ghost, but I didn't realize that your eyes are so penetrating. You can see through everything at a glance. Hui Yunfeng snorted and rolled his eyes, thinking, there's a Golden Cauldron sect with the same idea right now, ready to strike. I was disgusted by their foresight and unwavering determination for a long time just now. It would be strange if I couldn't guess it now. As they spoke, the atmosphere of the battle in the field grew more intense. The senior brother Qi mentioned by Jiang Luoluo became more and more courageous as the battle went on. Shadows of his sword flashed and whistled like a gust of wind. Basically, every strike was accompanied by a beam of misty green light that was filled with the vast power of heaven and earth. Yunyang knew that this was the symbol of a saint-level cultivator's combat strength, and it was also another form of the so-called heaven and earth cage. The white-clothed young man opposite him did not show any weakness either. His flexible sword was straight, and when it turned, it was like a violent storm. Accompanied by a vast dimensional force, he launched a series of counterattacks. Both of them displayed their divine abilities and exerted their full strength. Countless forces of space collided with each other in the field under the control of the two men, crushing and shattering. After a while, the battle gradually reached its climax, and the outcome was about to be decided. On the left side of the main spectator stand, the Phoenix Cry sect's leader, Ping Zhanyue, secretly heaved a sigh of relief. This was already the third battle, and in this battle, her direct disciple had taken the initiative and was turning it into an advantage. As long as this advantage was turned into a victory, the battle would be won. Beside her was a white-clothed woman with a tall figure, black hair that flowed down like a waterfall, and a picturesque appearance. However, although this white-clothed woman's appearance was extremely pretty, it was filled with an icy cold feeling. It was as if one was facing an iceberg, and it was so cold that no one dared to approach her. She was as beautiful as a peach and as cold as ice. At this moment, the woman was staring at the entrance of the field with a slight frown. "Senior sister, look at the girl at the entrance. Isn't that Luoluo?" Ping Zhanyue raised her head slightly and looked in the direction of the voice. A hint of joy immediately appeared on her face as she said, "It's Luoluo. Why did this girl come at this time? I was just worrying about which female disciple the fifth war should send to fight. If Luoluo doesn't come, none of the other female disciples will have the confidence to win. Her arrival at this time is really a blessing from heaven. Heaven is protecting our Phoenix Cry sect." The white-clothed woman was the great elder of Phoenix Cry sect, Gan Tianyan. She frowned and said, "It's a great fortune for our sect that Luoluo has come at this time. But, I wonder if she," as she spoke, the trace of amiability on her face froze, and a layer of frost covered her pretty face. She gritted her teeth and said word by word, "The big guy beside her. Isn't he Luo Dejiang of the Demiurge Flawed 10? Luoluo still found him, and now she's with him." Then, she snorted heavily and said, "I'm so angry." Before her voice had died away, she had already flashed out. With a soft swoosh, her slender and delicate body had already traversed 30,000 feet and landed in front of the residence of 9 Supreme's people. Yunyang and the others were watching the fierce battle in the field, their eyes solemn and focused. Looking at the two people who were fighting in the field, Yunyang and the others had mixed feelings. The reason was obvious. Neither of these two people's cultivation base was weaker than theirs, and their tactics, strategies, cultivation techniques, movement techniques, were much better than Luo Dejiang and the others. Even with the residents of Nine Supreme's current strength, Yunyang alone would not be at a disadvantage if he were to fight these two men. As for the others, including Shi Wuchen and Luo Dejiang, none of them was a match for these two men. On the other hand, these two people were only disciples of sects with middle-class celestial luck banners, and their status was only at the same level as Yun Xiuxin, Bai Yexing, and the others. Although these two people were elite disciples, the gap seemed to be a little too big. Thinking about it, above these two, there were many more powerful people. Even if they didn't include the sect leader, there were at least a few elders of the same generation. Strong. Really strong. Unexpectedly strong. Yunyang breathed a soft sigh of relief and murmured, "It seems that if I want to reach the top of the middle-class celestial luck banners, the buffer of 3 years is indispensable." Before Yunyang finished his words, he suddenly found the space in front of him blurred for a moment, and then a tall figure appeared in front of the people of residents of Nine Supremes like an illusion. The newcomer was covered in ice and snow, and his face was cold. "Luo Luo, come back with me." Gan Tianyan's expressionless face was full of ruthlessness and impertinence. Jiang Luo Luo was nervous. "Master, come back with me." Gan Tianyan glanced at Luo Dejiang with a hint of killing intent on her face and said coldly, "Luo Dejiang, it's time for you to wake up from your dream." Luo Dejiang said in a deep voice, "I've stopped dreaming a long time ago. I only have a path ahead of me for the rest of my life, and I've just started on my previous path." Gan Tianyan sneered. "You've just started on your previous path? Your future will be in vain. Don't you understand that the reality is like this? How can a person like you have a future?" Yunyang, who was standing to the side, interrupted at the right time, "Senior Gan is so aggressive. It's not the demeanor of a senior. Everyone has the right to work hard and move forward, and Dejiang's current path is a smooth one. He only needs to move forward steadily." Yunyang smiled. "That's the reality, that's how life is." Gan Tianyan did not bother to hide her mocking smile. She did not even look at Yunyang as she asked coldly, "Who are you?" Yunyang stood with his hands clasped behind his back. "I'm Yunyang, the leader of residents of Nine Supremes. And Luo Dejiang is now the leader of the third peak of residents of Nine Supremes, the third most powerful person in the residents of Nine Supremes." Huh. Residents of Nine Supremes, leader of a peak, the third most powerful person? What a great title. What a high status. What a glorious future. Gan Tianyan sneered. "But I've never heard of the residents of Nine Supremes. Do you have a celestial luck banner?" Yunyang chuckled. Residents of Nine Supremes is currently the chief disciple of a lower-class celestial luck banner. As for us coming here and standing here, it means that we're about to have a middle-class celestial luck banner in our hands, just like you." Gan Tianyan was finally moved. Turning his head, he asked, "Are you here to challenge us?" Yunyang smiled proudly and said faintly, "I don't blame Senior Gan for not knowing the name of residents of Nine Supremes. After all, before I came to Mount Pentatir, I was just a lowly sect that had not been established for long and did not have a celestial luck banner. But ever since I came here, I've been fighting my way up. It only took me 3 days to become the chief disciple of a lower-class celestial luck banner from a lowly sect. And now, we're going to start attacking the middle-class celestial luck banner. I wonder if such a road ahead can be considered a smooth one." Yunyang said slowly, enunciating each word. As he spoke, everyone in the residence of Nine Supremes wore a proud look on their faces. The little fellows puffed out their chests even higher. There was no doubt that this achievement was enough to explain too many problems. In the bound of universe, the strongest fist made the most sense, and this truth applied everywhere. Even with Gan Tianyan's background and experience, he was shocked. Is this really your first time participating in the Celestial Luck Banner competition? You were just a lowly sect before. Chapter 11:21. That's right. Didn't you mention just now that the sect has just been established? It's been less than a year. Wuxia snorted, his expression already showing a hint of impoliteness. As for this old fellow who had interfered in his brother's marriage, well, although she didn't look old at all from her appearance, and she was very young and beautiful, Wuxia didn't have a good impression of her at all just from her tone and manner of speaking, which was filled with arrogance and seniority. However, Gan Tianyan was not angry at all at this moment. It wasn't that she was unperturbed, but that she had been shocked by what the crowd had said. Even though Phoenix Cry sect was ranked in the top 3 of the middle-class Celestial Luck Banner sects, even though its elite disciples were stronger than the second and third figures in the residence of 9 Supremes, even though her own strength was more profound and she might be able to destroy the current residence of 9 Supremes with her own strength, she was still shocked by this series of explosive information. She did not doubt the authenticity of what Yun Yang and others said, because this matter could not stand any scrutiny at all. Gan Tianyan knew that all this should be true. But because of this, the shock in Gan Tianyan's heart grew stronger. A sect that had just been established for less than a year and was only participating in the Celestial Luck Banner competition for the first time. It had swept away all the lower-class Celestial Luck Banner sects along the way, directly ascended to the position of the lower-class chief, and then appeared at the entrance of the middle-class competition, intending to challenge and go further. Gan Tianyan knew better than anyone what this meant. Even though the residence of 9 Supremes was still a greenhorn, it still had unparalleled potential. For a sect like this, no one could determine where their limits were. As for Luo Dujiang, as the third figure in this sect, his future was not only smooth, but extremely glorious and limitless. Only then did Gan Tianyan begin to size up the people of the residence of 9 Supremes. The more she looked at them, the more solemn her eyes became, and her heart began to hang in her throat. This knowledge had already caused a subversive shock to Gan Tianyan. When she looked at the people of the residence of 9 Supremes one by one, she was even more shocked. Now that they were within the boundary of the 5th heaven, he could not tell the depth of their cultivation base, but Yun Yang and Wuxia, as well as Luo Dujiang and the others whom he did not even look in the eye, were all full of vigor, their skin as smooth as jade, their eyes clear and distinct. This is an innate body. And it's a perfect body that can endure the constant cleansing of spiritual energy. Gan Tianyan's eyes lit up when she saw the 10 young men and women behind them. No matter which one of these 10 boys and girls, they all had excellent physiques. Be it spirit, energy, physique, meridians, innate talent. With just a glance, they were all top-notch. A few of them, in particular, had transcendent bodies that were rarely seen even in 100 or even 1,000 years. They were all flawless. The jade knife Gan Tianyan's eyes were filled with envy when he saw these 10 disciples. How did this little-known residence of 9 Supremes have such luck to be able to gather so many talents and beauties in their hands? What kind of luck was this? What kind of destiny was this? Gan Tianyan's expression unconsciously softened, but his behavior and attitude were obviously unrepentant. After all, his previous words were too harsh. Now that he had changed to a pleasant expression, it would seem that he had changed from arrogance to deference, and that he was looking down on others. With Gan Tianyan's status and personal standpoint, it was difficult for him to back down. However, in the face of a potential sect like the residence of 9 Supremes, even the Phoenix Cry sect could not suppress it for too long with its current growth speed, unless it was destroyed once and for all. Gan Tianyan knew very well how terrifyingly fast the improvement of the disciples was with the help of the spiritual qi raised by the middle-class Celestial Luck Banner. The residents of 9 Supremes had been able to come all the way without the Celestial Luck Banner. Once it obtained the blessing of the middle-class celestial luck banner, its spiritual chi would increase by 6 times. What kind of concept would that be? Yunyang saw the change in the man's expression and understood at once. His expression turned unusually gentle and kind, like he was facing a family member. He said softly, "Actually, I've had a deep conversation with Luo and Dajiang before I came. To be honest, I personally understand and admire Senior's actions. Senior has put in a lot of effort, wholeheartedly for your disciples, and would even rather bear a bad reputation. This is not something an ordinary master can do. This junior sincerely admires you." Gan Tianyan coughed dryly. Apart from feeling uneasy, he also felt a little guilty. His face flushed as he looked at Yunyang, obviously waiting for him to continue. He felt even more ashamed. Am I so good? What did he say? Why don't I understand? Am I wholeheartedly for Luo? It seems so, but it doesn't seem so. To be honest, if I were you, Senior, I wouldn't agree to their marriage either. Yunyang's face was full of understanding as he said with a smile, as a master, taking in a disciple is like taking in a daughter. When a daughter wants to find a husband, as a master, of course, I have to consider the best for her, lest my daughter suffer a loss after she marries. Luo Dajiang was originally just a wandering martial artist. He didn't come from a sect, didn't have the capital to settle down, and didn't even have a good reputation. It's not an exaggeration to say that he was precarious. Gan Tianyan nodded repeatedly when he said this. Obviously, what Yunyang had said was exactly what she wanted. Although it was not completely in line with her original intention, it was fundamentally the same. As a disciple of a middle-class celestial luck banner sect and an outstanding talent among the disciples, Luo's future is limitless. It's too extravagant to talk about the future in this life when she follows such a wandering martial artist with no future. Yunyang waved his hand and said sternly, "If I were you, Senior, I wouldn't agree to see my own disciple fall into depravity no matter what. As a master, I have to think for my disciple, think about her future and her life. She's still young, and it's inevitable for young people to be impulsive. This momentary impulse could ruin her life. As a master, it's my duty and responsibility to guide her in the right direction." Gan Tianyan nodded silently. Therefore, this marriage that's destined to have no future can never be agreed to. From a long-term perspective, it's almost foreseeable that Luo's cultivation base will reach a very high level based on her identity as a master and the sect. It's not a big deal for her to live for a few thousand years. But Luo Dajiang, even if he dies of old age, without the blessing of the sect's providence, it's basically the limit for him to live for 1,000 years. How will my disciple spend her single years? Will she wash her face with tears every day? Yunyang's voice was sonorous and emotional. A well-matched match is a very utilitarian saying, but it's also the most realistic truth. Young people can't think of it, but as teachers, we can't not think of it. Because we have the responsibility and obligation to give them a bright future. Don't you think so, Senior Gan? Gan Tianyan nodded repeatedly. Yes, you're absolutely right. These are my heartfelt words. Chapter 11:22. This was Gan Tianyan's heartfelt words. In fact, that was what she thought, but she did not have Yunyang's ability to organize her words, let alone speak so fluently and thought-provoking. Therefore, when she heard Yunyang's words, she felt that Yunyang was her bosom friend. Every word he said had touched the bottom of her heart. Therefore, Senior's previous disapproval and obstruction were all for the sake of his disciple. No one has the right to say anything about this. Even if we stand as friends and are very dissatisfied with Senior, we still don't have the right to say it to Senior. This is also a problem that we, who have just become teachers, must consider and even face in the future. Everyone has the same heart and the same principle. We must understand it, and we must understand it thoroughly. Yun Yang said seriously. Gan Tianyan heaved a long sigh and looked at Jiang Luoluo lovingly. She smiled bitterly and said, "This girl is too silly. She only sees what's in front of her. To put it nicely, it's sentimental, but it's also willful and reckless. In any case, I'd rather she resent me now than see her live the rest of her life miserably." Yun Yang smiled and said, "Let me repeat myself here. I completely understand Senior's thoughts and actions. Even if my disciples were to be in a similar situation in the future, they might very well follow Senior's example. It's just that the situation now is different from the past. Today, Luo Dejiang is already the third most powerful person in the residence of 9 Supremes, and we're about to become a middle-class celestial luck banner sect. All these obstacles no longer exist. After all, in terms of the sect's identity, Luo is inferior. Don't you think so? Luo Dejiang is the leader of a middle-class sect, while Luo is only a disciple of a middle-class sect, am I right? The key point that worries you the most is that Luo Dejiang's future achievements are also gone now, because his future is equally bright. So, the obstacles that prevented them from being together in the past really don't exist at all." Yun Yang said with a smile, "I believe that Senior should feel very gratified about this. After all, it's a great kindness to both you and others." Gan Tianyan sighed and said, "What Leader Yun said does make sense. Since the residence of 9 Supremes has such achievements, I won't be a villain in vain. But..." She pondered for a moment and said, "I have a condition. Only with this condition will the barrier between them truly disappear." Yun Yang said, "Please elaborate, Senior." Gan Tianyan said, "Just now, Supreme Yun also said that your mansion is about to become a sect with a mid-class celestial luck banner, which means that it hasn't been done yet. If you can successfully ascend to the mid-class this time, I won't interfere in this matter anymore. But if your strength isn't enough and you can't succeed, then this matter needs to be considered at length." Yun Yang nodded. "Thank you, Senior, for your understanding. This matter is settled, and I agree on behalf of the two of them. If our mansion is unable to advance to the middle rank in the end, how can we have the face to mention marriage?" How could Yun Yang not know that Gan Tianyan no longer had any intention of disagreeing? She only needed to step down because of her pride. These words were just to give herself a way out of this embarrassing situation. Gan Tianyan smiled and said, "With Leader Yun's guarantee, why would I have any doubts? However, Luo has to return with me first. We don't have much confidence in the last battle of the sect's promotion battle this time. Luo has come at the right time." Jiang Luo looked at Gan Tianyan hesitantly and said, "Master, you won't go back on your word, will you?" Jiang Luo swallowed half of her sentence. Gan Tianyan smiled and said in annoyance, "Silly girl. Hurry up and come with me." Yun Yang added, "Don't worry, sister-in-law. Your master is an upright person, and his words carry enormous weight. If he really wants to break us up, he can just drag you away." "How can he?" "I'll definitely remind Dejiang to marry you as soon as possible after this. This etiquette can't be ignored." Jiang Luo turned around and grabbed Luo Dejiang, saying, "Dejiang, listen carefully. You can't lose this battle. If you lose and delay me from becoming a bride, I'll beat you to death." Everyone was stunned by this. Gan Tianyan grabbed Jiang Luo with a dark expression and bade farewell before flying away. Although it was awkward for him to change his attitude from arrogance to humility, it was not as good as his disciples' bold words. It made him feel even more ashamed. What kind of disciple did I teach? It's as if he's afraid that he won't be able to get married. He even used force to threaten me. Was there a need to? Once he left, Luo Dejiang opened his mouth and uttered word by word, "I won't lose." "Where is he?" Yun Yang covered his face. Tai Qing, Tsang, Shi Wuchen, Ren Qingquang, Lan Ruojuan, Kong Luoyue, and the others gave Yun Yang a thumbs up. Boss eloquence is amazing. It's all thanks to Boss eloquence. If Boss's cultivation base could reach 30% of his eloquence, he'd be a rarity in the entire bound of universe. Isn't that right? If it weren't for Boss, Dajiang's wife would probably have to suffer for a few more years. That's right, that's right. Boss's eloquence is great. Yun Yang was exasperated. "Shut up, all of you. Hurry up and get ready. Whoever makes a mistake later, see if I don't kill him." Everyone burst out laughing. At this point, Luo Dejiang finally put down a big stone in his heart, and a sense of relief welled up in him. Phoenix Cry Sect. On the high platform, Pu Deshuang, as the handler, was learning about the situation of the residents of Nine Supremes. On the other platform, Ping Zhenyue, the leader of Phoenix Cry Sect, was also learning about the residents of Nine Supremes, but neither Pu Deshuang nor Ping Zhenyue knew much. Pu Deshuang was a little better. After all, he had Hui Yunfeng by his side. During the handover process, he had learned some of the stories of the residents of Nine Supremes, as well as the qualifications for the current position. After all, it was already very rare to have the first place with a lower-class celestial luck banner and the right to challenge the last place with a middle-class celestial luck banner. "How is it?" Ping Zhenyue asked Gan Tianyan directly. To be honest, Ping Zhenyue was a little afraid now. Gan Tianyan had gone there in a fit of anger just now, and it was inevitable that a fight would break out at the slightest disagreement. With Gan Tianyan's cultivation base and strength, there was no need to worry about her safety. However, since the people of the residents of Nine Supremes were qualified to come to the third level of the fifth peak, where sects with middle-class celestial luck banners gathered, they must have some background. It was certainly inappropriate to act rashly. Now that Gan Tianyan had returned peacefully with Jiang Luoluo, and even her cold aura was gone, she was more doubtful than before. There are other variables in this matter. I'll explain it to you later. Don't worry, it's a good thing, not a bad thing. The expression on Gan Tianyan's face was a little complicated. It was probably because her mind was a little muddled at the moment. How could I be persuaded so easily? I've never been the kind of person who would listen to others. Genius 1 second to remember website. Mobile version. Chapter 1123. Was it just because of the shock brought about by the residents of Nine Supremes? Yes, it was indeed a little too much. After a while, Gan Tianyan carefully thought about how to phrase her words. Then, she used an unusually complicated tone to tell her sect leader about this matter. As she spoke, she saw her senior sister, who had always been calm, slowly open her mouth. Her eyes were filled with disbelief just like before. The battle in the field was still going on. As long as no one was greedy, it would still take a considerable amount of time to determine the winner and loser, even if the upper hand was clear. However, the advantage of Phoenix Cry Sect's disciples was becoming more and more obvious, and the outcome was difficult to reverse. Ping Zhenyue was no longer concerned about it, and her mind was filled with things related to the residents of Nine Supremes. It had only been less than a year since the establishment of the sect, or rather, less than a year ago. Yet, they had gathered all the Demiurge Flawed 10 and achieved great things. They had obtained the qualification for the lower-class Celestial Luck banner as soon as they started the battle, and they had advanced rapidly all the way to become the current top of the lower-class Celestial Luck banner. Although the depth of their cultivation base could not be seen for the time being, there must be some other reason for them to be able to fight to the top of the lower class with only the Demiurge Flawed 10 as the main force. At least, based on the information from Phoenix Cry Sect, the Demiurge Flawed Ten's past strength would never have been able to do so. This other reason was probably that while they were building the sect, they were busy teaching their disciples, and at the same time, they had made rapid progress in their own cultivation base. Finally, they had reached their current realm. They had stood out among the lower-class celestial luck banner sects. Just based on these words alone, no matter how you put it, it sounded like bragging, but it was the truth, the unquestionable truth. Luo, how many disciples does the Residence of 9 Supremes have now? Did you bring all of them with you? Asked Ping Zhenyue. There was a deeper meaning in Ping Zhenyue's words. Gan Tianyan had just mentioned to her in a serious tone that apart from Supreme Yun Yang and the Demiurge Flawed Ten, there were still 10 incredibly talented junior disciples in the Residence of 9 Supremes group. Ping Zhenyue had asked this question to find out if Yun Yang was lucky enough to have found a batch of unknown genius disciples somewhere. Jiang Luo thought about it and said, for now, the Residence of 9 Supremes has about 10,000 disciples, right? She used a tone that didn't sound very sure. 10,000 disciples. Ping Zhenyue and Gan Tianyan were shocked by this number. It was just a newly established sect, yet it had 10,000 disciples. Where did he find all of them? Even our Phoenix Cry sect doesn't have 10,000 disciples. Gan Tianyan's face involuntarily twitched, and he said, Luo, these 10,000 over disciples, are their aptitudes intermingled? Is there anyone else who has the aptitude of the 10 who came this time? It could be said that Gan Tianyan had been suppressing this question for a long time. The truth was that every disciple of the Residence of 9 Supreme she had met seemed to be gifted with a natural talent. Every single one of them was so adorable, and their little eyes were truly delightful, filled with intelligence. Each of those disciples had the qualifications to become a true disciple of the Phoenix Cry sect. Gan Tianyan's heart itched when she saw them, and she wished she could take all of them in. Jiang Luo blinked her eyes and said, Master, you must be joking. Disciples like Xiaofan and the others are generally talented, but I've only seen that although Residence of 9 Supremes has recruited a large number of disciples, few of them are as talented as Xiaofan and the others. In my opinion, the others are mostly above average, and some are even worse. Jiang Luo understood the meaning of her master and Uncle Master's question very well, so she cleverly played dumb and pulled down the aptitude of the disciples of the Residence of 9 Supremes. If the other disciples were actually very good, and even if they were not as good as Yun Xiaofan and the others, they were not far behind, her master would probably go crazy on the spot, and he might really go to the Residence of 9 Supremes to snatch them away. The Residence of 9 Supremes is my man's base. The disciples there can't be separated. Gan Tianyan nodded and said, that's true. I was thinking too much. How can there be 10,000 geniuses with such aptitude? If it's 1 in 1,000, it's not too ridiculous to pick out 10 outstanding disciples from 10,000 people. Jiang Luo nodded repeatedly and said, not bad, not bad. Each of the 10 disciples is also 1 in 10,000. Gan Tianyan nodded in satisfaction and said, little girl, Luo Dejiang has some foundation now. Although he has just started, his future is not bad. I'll make an exception for you and no longer restrict your contact. But there is one thing you need to remember, you will always be a disciple of the Phoenix Cry sect, and the sect is where you come from. Do you understand? Jiang Luo nodded like a chicken pecking rice. Don't worry, master. I will always be a disciple of the Phoenix Cry sect, and the sect is my backer. Before Luo Dejiang. Residence of 9 Supremes is promoted to the top of the middle grade, you can't cross the line. Yes, master. Get ready. Your cultivation base hasn't fallen during this period, has it? Gan Tianyan was a little worried. You will most likely need to fight in the 5th match later. Originally, your junior sister Lu was supposed to go up for this round, but this 5th round is a crucial battle. Our sect needs to win 5 out of 5 matches in order to qualify for the next round. Now that you're back, it's better for you to go up and win. I just don't know if you've been slacking off during this period of time. Jiang Luoluo smiled confidently and said respectfully, "Don't worry, master. I won't embarrass you." As Gan Tianyan's proud disciple and successor, Jiang Luoluo's ability was not ordinary. Even Luo Dejiang, who had gone to the residence of 9 supremes, could not defeat the girl at all. Moreover, Jiang Luoluo herself felt that during this period of time in the residence of 9 supremes, the progress of her cultivation base was not slow at all compared to when she was in her own sect. Furthermore, his own physique seemed to be undergoing a subtle change. This was something that hadn't happened when he was in his own sect. Jiang Luoluo even felt that she had become much smarter. To put it bluntly, as long as Luo Dejiang lied, she could immediately tell. When she was thinking about a problem, she also felt that her brain was working exceptionally fast. That was what the saying, "beautiful on the outside, intelligent on the inside," meant. Although Gan Tianyan saw that Jiang Luoluo was full of confidence, he was still relieved. After all, Jiang Luoluo had left the Phoenix Cry sect for a long time. The 5th match was about to end, so he had to be careful with the strategy this time. He stretched out his hand and said, "Give me your hand, let me see the progress of your mystical qi." "You lass, sigh, you're just lazy, otherwise, eh?" Chapter 11:24. As she spoke, she suddenly exclaimed and stared at Jiang Luoluo's pretty face, observing carefully. At the same time, a stream of pure mystical qi circulated in Jiang Luoluo's meridians. The more she checked, the more surprised she became. In the end, her face was filled with shock. Today was probably the day of Gan Tianyan's accident. A series of accidents came one after another, shocking her. After a while, Gan Tianyan stared at Jiang Luoluo and asked, "Girl, have you encountered any opportunity during this period of time?" Jiang Luoluo looked confused. "Opportunity? What opportunity?" "No. No?" Gan Tianyan looked puzzled and surprised. "If not, how could your meridians have widened so much? If not, how could your body's aptitude have changed so much? If not, how could there be no impurities in your body? And why is the barrier of your meridians in a state of gradual melting? Did you accidentally eat something special and ignore it? Think about it." Jiang Luoluo was at a loss. "I really didn't. I've been," at this point, he suddenly closed his mouth and covered his mouth tightly with one hand. His eyeballs were rolling in circles. "Been?" Gan Tianyan frowned. "In the residence of 9 supremes?" Jiang Luoluo shook her head repeatedly. "I've always been, always, in that. Jianghu, I've always been fighting, roaming the Jianghu and making a name for my Phoenix Cry sect," Gan Tianyan chuckled. "But the information I have shows that you found Luo Dejiang a year ago and have never left his side since then. Is my information wrong?" Jiang Luoluo said anxiously, "It's not a year, I've only found him for less than half a year, huh?" Gan Tianyan rolled her eyes. "You've always hated to get married. Since you found Luo Dejiang, how can you let him go? He's been cultivating in the residence of 9 supremes for the past half a year, hasn't he? Then you'll definitely stay there, why would you go anywhere else? Girl, has anyone ever told you that you stutter whenever you lie? How could I have a stutter? My speech is very clear. I've been traveling around for more than a year, punishing evil and doing good. I've been contributing to my family and sect. I've never lied, not even a single word. I don't have a stutter." Gan Tianyan rolled her eyes and said, "Then, has anyone told you that after you lie and explain that you didn't lie, you will often talk non-stop until you can't breathe?" Jiang Luoluo lowered her head dejectedly and mumbled, "Oh. Master, I'm really not lying. If you don't believe me, you can ask Luo Dujiang, you can ask Yun Yang, you can ask Shi Wuchen, Ren Qinghuang, and the rest. They can all testify that I've really not been in the residence of 9 Supremes during this period of time. I've been traveling the world as my home. Master, you have to believe me. Burp, Ping Zhenyue and Gan Tianyan looked at her helplessly. They held their foreheads and sighed. Jiang Luoluo shut her mouth and sighed. Sigh, when this is over, I have to pay a visit to the residence of 9 Supremes. Gan Tianyan said, after all, they'll be considered as in-laws in the future. I'll go and visit them to observe this girl's marriage. Ping Zhenyue said, all right. I'll try to find time to go with you when the time comes. The two sisters looked at each other and saw the understanding in each other's eyes. There must be something strange about the residence of 9 Supremes' rapid rise and the change in Luoluo's physique. How could they turn a blind eye to it? At that moment, there was a loud bang in the field. A figure stumbled out. It was senior brother Qi. Although he was staggering, he was not fatally injured. However, his opponent, the youth in white, was already dead on the ground. Phoenix Cry Sect had won. On the high platform, Pu Deshuang said loudly, Phoenix Cry Sect wins 3rd place. Currently, they have won 3 out of 3 matches. Next is the match of sect leaders. On the opposite side, the faces of everyone from Zenith Heaven Sect were ashen. 3 matches and 3 defeats meant that their original position was gone. There was no point in continuing the battle, but the entire Zenith Heaven Sect was filled with a solemn and stirring air. Their fighting spirit was unprecedentedly high. Pu Deshuang's voice was loud and clear. After this match, there will be another match. The residence of 9 Supremes, the chief disciple of the lower-class Celestial Luck Banner, wishes to challenge those who have ascended to the middle-class Celestial Luck Banner. 7 Stars Sect, which ranks last among the middle-class Celestial Luck Banners, please prepare for the match. As soon as he said that, everyone in 7 Stars Sect, which ranked last among the middle-class sects, changed their expressions, their thoughts inexplicable. A lower class challenging a middle-class sect. How could such a rare thing happen this year? It was not that they had not heard of it before. It was said that the original chief disciple of the lower class, Golden Cauldron Sect, wanted to challenge the middle class's last place. When they saw that it was not someone from Golden Cauldron Sect who came, they were initially relieved. Why was it changed to residence of 9 Supremes? What was going on? They had not heard of any residence of 9 Supremes among the original 9 lower-class sects. Where did this residence of 9 Supremes come from? How did he become the chief disciple of the lower class and obtain the qualification to challenge the middle class last place? The next match was between Phoenix Cry Sect's Ping Zhenyue and Zenith Heaven Sect's leader, He Shansong. Both sides displayed their remarkable abilities and were evenly matched. The battle was in a stalemate and extremely difficult. In the end, Ping Zhenyue managed to win by half a move. It was truly a close shave. Logically speaking, there should be a 5th match, and Jiang Luoluo should have been ready. However, for some reason, Zenith Heaven Sect had given up. However, no matter why the Daluo Sect was willing to give up, the Phoenix Cry Sect still managed to defeat the Daluo Sect with a complete victory. As a result, the Phoenix Cry Sect replaced the Daluo Sect and was promoted to the 2nd place of the middle rank, which was the 2nd place. Now, they only needed to wait for the original chief disciple of the middle class, to see if the General Commerce League could successfully challenge the upper class. If the challenge was successful, Phoenix Cry Sect would then take the opportunity to challenge the fallen 1st place. If not, Phoenix Cry Sect would cease all activities and settle for 2nd place. At this moment, the arena fell into silence. After a while, Pu Deshuang's voice came from above. The next match is a battle between the lower-class chief disciple and the middle-class last place. It is the first promotion battle in nearly 1,000 years. Now, 7-star sect's leader, please consider the battle strategy. Down below, 7-star sect's leader, Duan Tianchong, could not help but frown. He turned to look at the residence of 9 Supremes, his mind whirling for a moment, but he could not make a decision. Up above, Pu Deshuang's eyes flickered as he looked at the residence of 9 Supremes. After looking at the residence of 9 Supremes, he turned to look at Hui Yunfeng and could not make up his mind. Hui Yunfeng chuckled and said, "The residence of 9 Supremes has a great momentum this time. They are charging up like a hot knife through butter, and they are determined to win. At least, in my opinion, these few little fellows are amazing. The younger generation will surpass us in time." Pu Deshuang smiled faintly when he heard that. He glanced at Hui Yunfeng as if he was looking at an idiot and said faintly, "I appreciate Brother Hua's advice. Can I assume that you will definitely bet on the residence of 9 Supremes to win if you bet?" Chapter 1125. Hui Yunfeng also chuckled and said, "Yes, I've witnessed the residence of 9 Supremes charge all the way here with my own eyes, so I know it well. If I bet on the residence of 9 Supremes, it will certainly be a profitable business." Pu Deshuang burst into laughter and cursed in disdain, "You old thing with sores on your head and pus on the soles of your feet, do you think I will fall for your trick? Since you've said so, I'll fulfill your wish and bet with you. You're betting on the residence of 9 Supremes, aren't you?" "I bet on the 7-star sect." Hui Yunfeng jumped to his feet, his face flushed. "What do you mean? Just now when I asked you to start the bet, you hesitated again and again. How is that interesting? Why don't I remember saying that I want to bet with you now?" Pu Deshuang looked at him with a hideous smile, "You old bastard, there is indeed something fishy going on. Just now, he said he wanted to bet, but now he doesn't want to bet. He's clearly trying to scam me. If you don't dare to take the bet, I won't force you. At most, I'll spread the news about you to the entire Sacred Heart Palace. I'd like to see how you'll behave in the future." Hui Yunfeng flew into a rage. "Pu Deshuang, what's the meaning of this? There's only rape, and treachery." Pu Deshuang crossed his arms and said, "I don't care about that. If you don't want to gamble, I'll expose your scandal. The choice is yours, it's up to you." Hui Yunfeng flew into a rage. "Bah! Do you really think I don't dare to bet with you? I'm just afraid that you'll go bankrupt. I dare to bet, but do you really dare to accept?" Pu Deshuang snorted, "Why wouldn't I dare? No matter what you do, I'll take it all on. All right, I'll bet on the residence of 9 Supremes, but I'll decide the odds." Hui Yunfeng blushed and said, 1 to 6. "If residence of 9 Supremes wins, you will have to pay 1 to 6. I'll bet 500 Supreme-grade spiritual jades. Do you dare to take it? Can you?" Pu Deshuang was stunned for a moment and said in shock, 500 yuan. "You old bastard, are you planning to use peak-grade spirit jades to scare me?" Hui Yunfeng said, "Weren't you King arrogant? Aren't you trying to provoke me to bet on the residence of 9 Supremes? I'll bet 500 Supreme-grade spiritual jades on residence of 9 Supremes victory. If 7-star sect wins, these 500 pieces are yours. On the contrary, if the 7-star sect loses, you have to pay me 3,000 pieces of top-quality spirit jades." Pu Deshuang snorted and asked suspiciously again, "Why do I still feel that you are setting me up, you bastard?" "You," Hui Yunfeng snorted. "Huh. Now that you don't dare to gamble, forget it. Remember not to speak ill of me outside, or else I will fight with you. There's a heavenly Tao oath here, it's not up to you to talk nonsense." Pu Deshuang laughed and pointed at Hui Yunfeng with his carrot-sized little finger. He was overjoyed. F***ck, it turns out that this is your plan. You want to scare me off with such a small number? Ha ha ha. You're dreaming, kid. If you scare me off with $500, you can brag about it for 8 years when you get back. Especially since you can avoid losing money here. All the good things have been taken by you. You crafty old B*****. You're really insidious. Hui Yunfeng shook his head. Now it's me who dares to gamble, but you don't. I'm just respecting you. As long as you say you don't want to gamble, I won't argue with you and let you keep your money. In the future, don't say that I cheated you. I can't afford to lose face. Pu Deshuang said angrily, you want to take out 500 spirit jades for me to see? You can only gamble if you have the money. But you haven't taken out your stake, so how can I accept it? Am I trying to trick someone with nothing? Hui Yunfeng said angrily, why didn't you take out your stake first? Let me see who is trying to trick someone with nothing. The two stared at each other fiercely as if they were fighting cocks. After a long time, Pu Deshuang grinned hideously. This B** actually thinks I'm a poor man. Ha ha ha. Don't you know who I am? With that, he opened the spatial ring with a click and threw it to Hui Yunfeng. Open your F***king eyes and look carefully. There are 1,300 pieces of top-quality spirit jades in there. Are your eyes deceiving you? You're not the only one who's going to bet this round. I'm going to bet 1,000 as well. If 7 Stars Sect wins, you have to give me another 1,000 in addition to the 500 you bet. On the other hand, if Residence of 9 Supremes wins, not only will I pay you 3,000 Supreme-grade Spirit Jades, but the 1,000 I bet will also be yours. I'll accept this wager. Hui Yunfeng's face turned pale. Who F***king told you that you can bet 1,000 more? I'm rich. I can bet as much as I want. Pu Deshuang said angrily. What can you do to me? I want to bet 1,000, so what? My stake is only 1-to-1, which is not as impressive as your 1-to-6. You old B** who wants to cheat me. Are you going to accept it or not? Are you feeling guilty? Are you scared, dispirited, and hopeless? Hui Yunfeng gasped for breath and said hurriedly, who said I'm hopeless? I'm just afraid that you will go back on your word. You are famous for going back on your word. Pu Deshuang looked even more determined. You are afraid that I will go back on my word? Isn't it simple? We have all sworn an oath to the heavenly Tao, and those who go back on their word will naturally be punished by the heavenly Tao. Hui Yunfeng was stunned, his eyes fixed on Pu Deshuang. Pu Deshuang suddenly swore to the heavens, Pu Deshuang of Sacred Heart Palace, hereby swear an oath to the heavenly Tao that I will never go back on my word in this bet with Hui Yunfeng. I bet 1,000, and if I win, he will pay me 1,000, if he bet 500, the odds are 1-to-6, and if he wins, I will pay him an extra 3,000. I swear with my blood essence that the heavens bear witness. If I go back on my word, may I be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. Then, with a thunderous rumble, the heavenly Tao confirmed the oath, and there was no turning back. Pu Deshuang snorted and squinted at Hui Yunfeng. Satisfied? Hui Yunfeng looked as if he had lost his parents. He stamped his feet and cried out, F***ck. Are you trying to kill me? Pu Deshuang said proudly, the heavenly Tao has borne witness. Hui Yunfeng, you have no choice but to take the bet now. Even if I don't come to you, the heavenly Tao will. Fine, but you only have 1,300 pieces here. If I win, you will have to pay 4,000 pieces of supreme-grade spiritual jade, Hui Yunfeng said. Are you afraid that I will go back on my word under the heavenly Tao's oath? If I lose, I will sell everything I have to give you when I go back. Even if he borrowed from thousands of households, he would still be able to gather 4,000 yuan for him. Humph. Ha ha ha. When he reached the end of his sentence, he suddenly laughed complacently. He was in a very good mood. He didn't expect that he would be able to cheat Hu Yunfeng with such a wrong move. This feeling was really, really good. Dejected, Hu Yunfeng handed over 500 pieces of supreme-grade spiritual jade and said with an ashen face, "This is all I have for the time being. Alas, I'm going to win, I will win, I must win." Pu Deshuang laughed heartily, took out 1,000 pieces of supreme-grade spiritual jade, and put them into another spatial ring at the same time as Hu Yunfeng's 500 pieces. He was so happy that he wanted to sing. "I know you are comforting yourself and hypnotizing yourself. I know, I really know." Hu Yunfeng sighed. "Anyway, I'm going to win. I'm going to win." He tried his best to maintain the pretense of sadness in his tone, but he was so happy that he almost flew. "I'm rich. I'm rich. Ha ha ha, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be rich." Chapter 11:26. Do you really think I'm consoling myself when I say I'm going to win? Self-hypnosis? You're blinding yourself. Hu Yunfeng wanted to jump up and sing a song. "Little brother Yunyang, I'll definitely give you some money later. Fortunately, I borrowed the spiritual jades from those two fellows before I came up here. I'm going to make a fortune this time. Do you want to give them interest when I go back after I win?" Humph. These two bastards won my spiritual jades without hesitation, so why should I give them interest? I'll treat them to a drink. No way, if I treat them to a drink, they'll know I've won. When I go back, not only will I not treat them to a drink, but I can't return the money immediately. At least, I'll have to drag it out and pretend to be poor for a while. I must let them treat me to a drink, then pretend to have everything they have and pay the money back after several difficulties. This way, I can cover up the fact that I've made a fortune. That's it. I'm really a genius. Down below, with a flash, 7 Stars sect's leader, Duan Tianchong, flew up and cupped his fists. "Lord Attendant, may I have a look at the information about the residence of 9 Supremes?" This was a reasonable request. It could be said that it was within reason and within expectations. Pu Deshuang was in a good mood. He was usually unworldly and did not pay much attention to the lower-ranked sect leaders with middle-class celestial luck banners. But now, he found Duan Tianchong very pleasing to the eye. "Here, have a look. It's a good look. Read it carefully," he said. As he spoke, he handed over a jade archive. "Read it carefully. When you're done, win me some spiritual jades." Pu Deshuang was now looking at Duan Tianchong with a smile on his face. Duan Tianchong had delicate features. Duan Tianchong took the jade slip with the information about the residence of 9 Supremes. As he read it, his furrowed brows gradually relaxed. When he was done, he felt relaxed. The residence of 9 Supremes is nothing more than this. For a small sect that was established less than a year ago to be able to advance to this stage, admittedly, there was something strange about it, but most of it should be attributed to luck. At most, with just a year's accumulation of foundation, it wanted to knock down the 7 Stars sect that it had been immersed in for thousands of years. It was simply wishful thinking, like an ant trying to shake a tree. "Thank you, Lord Attendant." Duan Tianchong looked much more relaxed after reading it, no longer showing any nervousness. "We demand that the battle begin tomorrow. Let's take a break for the night and give both sides some buffer time. The residence of 9 Supremes has just arrived in the 3rd realm, so we should give them some time to familiarize themselves with the environment. Otherwise, wouldn't it show that we, the middle-class sects with celestial luck banners, are not magnanimous at all?" Hu Yunfeng frowned and put on a fake smile. There's no need to go through so much trouble. There's only one level of difference between the second realm and the third realm, and there's no difference in other aspects. What kind of environment do you need to adapt to? It was only morning, and there was still more than half of the day left. Why did they have to start resting? As far as I know, this time, your 7 stars sect didn't challenge a higher-ranked sect, so you didn't even waste your energy, so what's there to rest for? Besides, your 7 stars sect has a grandstand, but Residence of 9 Supremes has no place to stay since it's the first time we've arrived. Are you going to let them stand there and wait for you for half a day and a night, and let all the sects with middle-class celestial luck banners laugh at us? Duan Tianchong smiled apologetically and said, Lord Deacon, setting the time of the duel is the right of the challenged sect, we have the right to decide on the time of the duel. His words were neither light nor heavy, but they were not polite at all. They went straight to the point and hit the nail on the head. Duan Tianchong was the leader of a middle-class celestial luck banner sect after all, so he was polite and considerate to Pu Deswang, a deacon of his realm, but he was not so polite to Hui Yunfeng, a deacon of the second realm and a deacon who spoke on behalf of Residents of 9 Supremes. Hui Yunfeng flew into a rage at once, and he said in a deep voice, Sect Leader Duan is really domineering. I wish Sect Leader Duan that you can be so domineering forever. Don't die prematurely, or I'll be very sad. Initially, Duan Tianchong did not feel any regret for saying those words. Although it was obvious that Deacon Hui Yunfeng was speaking on behalf of Residents of 9 Supremes, he was still a deacon of Sacred Heart Palace. Duan Tianchong had offended him by blurting out those words. However, when he heard what Hui Yunfeng said next, he could not help but shudder inwardly. Hui Yunfeng was not a deacon of his realm here, so he could not do anything to Duan Tianchong. But, when the battle of the Celestial Luck Banner was over, if Hui Yunfeng made some mistakes and made things difficult for Duan Tianchong, it would be really difficult for Duan Tianchong to deal with. No matter how powerful a middle-class Celestial Luck Banner sect was, it was still not strong enough to deal with Sacred Heart Palace. At that moment, Pu Deswang said in a gloomy voice, Hui Yunfeng, this is the battlefield of the middle-class Celestial Luck Banner. You're only here to enter the sect after the handover, and you've done your duty. Don't vent your personal emotions on sect leader Duan. Another deacon said with a hint of oppression in his voice, Deacon Hua, as deacons of Sacred Heart Palace, we are first and foremost deacons of Sacred Heart Palace. We must be upright, and we can't act recklessly for personal reasons. We can't affect the mood of the participating sects, and it's a taboo to interfere with the strategies and tactics of the fighting sections. Hui Yunfeng spun abruptly and said angrily, Bah! What I said was wrong. What I said was not true. What I said was biased towards either side. What the F***ck do you mean by raising the issue like this? My bet with that old man has nothing to do with you too. Who are you to interrupt? What? Do you want to bet with me as well? I can't believe there's such bullying in this world. You say it's to familiarize yourself with the environment, but you're actually making people wait for a day and a half in the cold night, treated as an ornament by many sects. Is there any fairness in the battle for the Celestial Luck Banner? He pointed his finger at them one by one and said fiercely, we're all at the same level. Who are you trying to scare? Do you think I'm afraid of the three of you? Why are you squeaking when you're not participating in the bet? Why are you spouting nonsense? If you really want to see me in a bad mood, why don't you show me some spirit jades? I'll take it no matter how much it is. Today, I'm going to vent my anger. What are you going to do about it? The other two deacons were so angry that their mouths and eyes twitched. They were speechless for a long time. Hui Yunfeng, why are you biting people like a mad dog? What did we do to you? We're just maintaining our current status and saying a few words of support, and we're not involved in paying respect to anyone. Why are you attacking us like a cannon? The other deacon, who had been silent the whole time, was so angry that his face turned blue. Hui Yunfeng, if you want to be a mad dog, don't bite me. What does this have to do with me? Pu Deshuang was also angry. Hui Yunfeng, watch your mouth. You're shameless, but we are. The Sacred Heart Palace is shameless. Hui Yunfeng's face turned red. What? What did you say? Why didn't I watch my mouth? Why didn't I care about my face? Do you want me to kneel down and lick your boots? If you didn't bet on the 7 Stars sect's victory, would you be so kind to them? Now, you even have the nerve to say that I'm wrong here and there? Pu Deshuang, you tricked me like this, yet you want me to swallow my anger? You're blinded by your imagination. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.